Welcome everybody to the CrossFire podcast, where I get to use my 99-cent app on my iPhone at least once a week. It is great. We are here. It's Friday night. You know, I don't know if it's a jinx or what it is, to be honest with the audience, but ever since I've been given crap a lot of shit about living in Florida with storms, all of a sudden somebody who's got to be some sort of a god is just like and blowing the shit up to New York. So we are having a ridiculous amount of storms here tonight. I think we'll be all right, to be honest with you. I got a hold of local meteorologists and I think we're going to make it. But nonetheless, let's get started with this long intro I do have here. Let me start with the one himself, Crap Gamer. Crap, welcome tonight, buddy. How are you?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, you know, happy to be here. And, you know, it's a relatively weak year for storms here, by the way. So
it is, right?
It is, yeah.
Wait till September. Yeah.
There's not a lot of. They actually revised the forecast for the hurricane. So take that, all you people that believe in global warming. You're full of shit.
Oh man.
No hurricanes. No hurricane. Nothing coming this year. Nothing. Get out of here.
Wow, Crap. I thought it wasn't good luck to do things like that.
Oh, dude, I spit. Good luck, man. I spit in luck's eye.
You're going to look outside your window, come into September, and see somebody on a broomstick.
Dude, I would love that, man. I would love. No, I mean, it's all good. Actually, it's been pretty tame. I mean, we get the occasional little thunderstorm, but that's normal around this time. But, you know, I actually enjoy it. You know, it keeps things extra humid. You know, if you want that 110% humidity, that's what does it, you know, and it's all about the humidity. So I'm all for it.
No, bring on the humidity. And with that being said, let me bring on Xbot 448. Xbot, how you doing tonight, buddy?
What's going on? Destiny 2. The dawn.
How am I supposed to surpass humidity in Florida? But what's going on, everybody? Huge shout out to the chat. I was in the chat before we went live, man. Everything was popping. It looks like it's going to be a great show. I can't wait to talk about the most powerful handheld on the planet.
Wow.
Oh.
Good to have that. Well, listen, before we get into that, let me introduce Senora Boombastic Boom. How many podcasts did you do today, buddy? And welcome tonight.
This is now the second, but no, I'm very excited. Like I said earlier, you know, the last time, when there's no podcast on Friday night, the world is off balance.
That's when the whole flat earth thing started. When I took a day off.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. And I apologize, everybody, guys. It is round.
From Florida went to New York, man.
I do apologize
exactly what
for that. Speaking of the earth being flat and this and that, we got different time zone. Alan Walsh. Alan from Full Throttle. How are you doing tonight, buddy?
HTR.
Do we have Alan?
HDR.
Oh, no. Alan.
He's having a problem with his HTR, dude.
Well, anyways, guys, because Alan was in here and he's never quiet. I was
He is here. I just don't see his mic's not lighting up.
Well, I'll go ahead and give him a second.
Muted yourself.
Yeah, you might be, well, I think he can't be muted, but Alan is here. We will get him. We'll get the technical difficulties out of the way soon. Okay. Let me get to my special guest here. I've got the man himself here, the man of controversy. No, he's not that at all. Dealer Gaming. Dealer, how are you, buddy?
What's going on, people?
Love it. Just get your voice that high.
It's good to be here, guys. How you doing? Everyone doing good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it should be a good conversation.
I don't think it's going to go wrong at all, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, why would it? Luke is here.
That's what I was just going to say this. The female Mooch, the My New York. Luca, welcome back to CrossFire. It's good to have you.
Hey man, thank you so much for having me. It is I, yes, your resident scumbag, the Ashen Luca. I am the one of controversy, so that's the title I will gladly take.
You know, it's funny. You always say that, Luca, and I hate that. Cannot take that slogan,
like
but you are not any of those things you called yourself, by the way. Okay, everyone loves you, absolutely loves you. They throw pedals in front of your feet as you walk through these podcasts. No, that's just me.
Actually, funny story was that me and Mooch were playing Sea of Thieves, and Luca hops in to the chat on Xbox Live, and she goes on this big rant, and I was like, "Hey, you should have saved that for Friday for Crossfire," and boom, here she is.
Yeah,
well, that wasn't even planned, but it worked out. Let's get into it, guys, because realistically, I think we have the one of the greatest panels assembled for all the topics we're going to hit today. And I'm going to go ahead and pick on Dealer first, because there was something that me and Crap have been talking about, Dealer, and it was like, you know, we went out, and of course it was a little bit of slapstick and having some fun, right? We'd like to do a little bit of entertainment, whether it be MNC evenings, right? Exactly. Yeah, that was terrible. Crap. I don't like what you say. He's being stooges into it. Like, my whole thing is that, like, we like to give a little bit of satire and have some fun. And we're just trying to say that everybody in the world that loves Spider-Man might not understand that it is not the thing that was invented specifically for this game. And you did a really great job yesterday making that video in the comparisons from Batman Arkham, the Arkham games, the Arkham series, to the Spider-Man series. And there was a little bit of controversy for a few hours. It was lovely to read, by the way.
Oh, yeah. But you know, I noticed the people who watched the video with their TVs off didn't understand that I was actually complimenting.
Yes, plenty of compliments.
Quite a bit. I mean, I didn't say I have one thing bad to say about Spider-Man. And you're right. There's a massive comparison between Arkham and Spider-Man for obvious reasons. That's why Digital Foundry have done it themselves, right? They talked about Arkham and Spider-Man, how Spider-Man literally rips its free flow and stealth mechanics from Arkham with some twists, which is great. That's why I liked Rise Son of Rome as much as I did, because that Batman combat, Shadow of Mordor, same thing. I enjoyed that combat system, and that's why I'm more excited for Spider-Man as a result. But for some reason, I guess it was a title, Spider-Man PS4 versus a 3-year-old Batman game, but at the end of the day, it's factual. Arkham holds up extremely well to this day. There are a ton of comparisons, and I just thought it was worth talking about.
I think you're right in what you said, and I had this discussion with one of the great gaming journalists that are out there on the West Coast many years ago, and I said, you know, if you could just stop with the headlines. Some people don't, because I said, I read your article. I was going back and forth with the journalist, and I said, I read your article, and I know where you're going with this. But I said, you definitely put that headline up there. A lot of people don't watch the videos, dealer, right? That's the whole thing. They're not watching your video.
And guess what? As a result, they all got destroyed the second I asked them what was wrong with the video or what were they triggered by. None of them knew because they were so fucking stupid that they didn't remember to watch the video. So
I love the honesty.
It's kind of an important part of critiquing or having an issue with something is you should at least know what the hell the issue is.
I agree with that. Now, Luca, if you don't mind, I want to ask you, like, you saw the controversy that went down yesterday and the whole thing that happened. Like, do you see where, like, it's okay to say, and I know you're actually even not picking up the game as I last spoke to you, that you're not even buying Spider-Man because it's not your bag. But the whole thing about it is like, let's say it was your game and it was your type of game. Do you see where, like, sometimes we can't even have a discussion? You can't have a headline. You can't have anything because it's a PlayStation exclusive. Everything has to be great, right? It's like, if you don't say great, you're immediately, there's a swarm. So what's your take on that? Like, something, even using dealers, we're using dealers video, which is going to get great press, by the way, this entire show of CrossFire. That video is going to, was that something that you watched this video and you thought it was well done? Or did you think like he was out of line because of his title?
To be honest with you, I don't really care that he did that video. It doesn't bother me in any way. And no, but I did know it was going to cause a lot of issues and people were going to have a problem with it and freak out because it's dealer and everyone. There's a lot of
complimenting Spider-Man, you asshole.
There's a lot of people who don't like dealer, who don't like Coat, who will go on these podcasts ranting about them, raving about them, taking stuff they say and twisting it, turning it into something else entirely without actually watching the video or looking to see what they said, man. It's the worst. Like, I even had people coming to me saying, oh, Luca, dealer said that the Xbox One X is the best is the best 4K Blu-ray player. And I'm like, he did not say that.
He definitely didn't.
He did not say. I was like, link me to the tweet. And
right.
he was like, well, okay, I mean, that's not exactly what he said.
Confused about streaming versus disc, and I say, do you want the best experience? You need disc because it's the least compressed audio and video there is, right? Streaming compresses, disc is less compressed. You get a better image and audio from that. That's what I said in that tweet, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So people like, I was just kind of like, well, what did he say exactly? Did he say that it's the best place to play 4K Blu-ray movies? Or did he say 4K Blu-ray movies are the best experience? I'm going to watch it on my X.
Right.
So it's like they twist it and they turn it into something else entirely. And it's genuinely baffling because I'm someone who likes to have all the facts before I say anything to anyone about anything, just because it's more fulfilling for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't like looking like an idiot. And I think that a lot of people, they just dislike like Colt and Dealer, and you guys as well.
I think Dealer trolled
right.
a bunch of people,
us
man.
either, right?
That's what I think happened with the title. Come on, Dealer, you trolled a bunch of people with that, dude.
I mean, it's a title, and I
it's
think
funny.
a title is there for a reason. But at the end of the day, it's a fact. Arkham Knight is.
Well, yeah. I mean, people can't really complain about the video if they haven't watched it.
Well, the thing of it is that they automatically assume there's malicious intent behind it because you are an Xbox fan. So they turn it into something else. And
I probably bought Spider-Man before they did.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say.
That video, literally all the footage, I spent 7 hours making that video, and I didn't do it to shit on a game that I've already paid for.
Right.
I'm looking forward to Spider-Man. I'm excited for it. I'm going to play.
You know what, Gil, you said it twice in your video that you bought it and you pre-ordered it and paid for it already.
Yeah. And the fact that it shares mechanics with Arkham, like I said earlier, is one of the reasons I'm looking forward to it so much. And that's the difference between people like me, people like Colt. A lot of people attack Colt as well because they don't listen. But at the end of the day, we're willing to say Spider-Man looks amazing. God of War, to me, was a 9.5 out of 10, legitimately. But at the end of the day, on the other side of the aisle, you have a bunch of radical fuck faces. You can't even get props to one game. They can't get props to one aspect because they're such radicals.
Yes.
It's just fucking ridiculous. So you can't win, Luca. You can't win.
I mean, you really can't. And I am I'm really against people seeing something that I said or hearing something I said and twisting it into something else entirely. So I always ask them, okay, where did I say that? How did I say it? Let me see. And then it's always like, oh, well, I mean,
give me that link, bitch.
So, yeah, I mean, it's whatever. Like I said, I didn't care about the video either way. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't excite me. I'm just kind of like, because
You're not interested in Spider-Man.
I'm not interested in Spider-Man. I don't care about that.
You know,
to me, is looking forward to Spider-Man. Just looking at the video back, I was like, God, I can't wait to play Spider-Man. You know, like. I don't know.
I'm trying to even take it from Dealer's video and go top level. So we're even going a level above it to the point of just making it for layman's terms here. I'm saying that it's almost like you can't have me and Crap did a whole thing where we truly felt that Horizon Zero Dawn wasn't that great of a game. That's just a personal opinion. I'm not saying I thought the story was kind of blah. I thought the facial really animations boring. It was very boring. The mechanics were a touch wonky. That being said, everyone's like, no, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now what's funny is a lot of people that told me and Crap, we were going over this last night at MC Evenings. A lot of people were calling in and writing in the chat saying, you know, Mooch and Crap, I gave you guys a lot of shit when the game came out. And they're like, to be honest with you, it is kind of like a 7.5 after we got it's not a 9, you know, it's not an 8.9, it's not a 9.2. And listen, that if you think it is a 9.2 yourself personally, you're entitled to that. I'm not going to debate you on it. That's how you felt and you enjoyed the game. That's fine. But realistically,
that's
right.
Honestly, I can say Horizon Zero Dawn to me is the overrated PS4 exclusive at an 89 on Metacritic. That blows my mind.
It blows my mind too.
You're not, you know, that's only a few points away from Uncharted 4, one of my more favorite games.
Yes.
And, you know, and Witcher 3. Are you kidding me? So to me, Horizon, I agree, is more like an 8 out of 10. Doesn't mean it's bad, but
does not mean it's bad at all.
Are way too high after seeing those reviews.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why I said we're taking your situation, Dealer, and bringing it to a top level. And I mean, Alan, welcome to the show. I saw your mic is working. Alan kind of goes through this. He's does a lot of the Forza stuff. And I'm wondering, and I see he's still on mute. Hopefully he's still around. But he does a lot of the Forza stuff. And I know whenever he discusses anything with Gran Turismo or any of the competing brands, I don't know if he goes through the other issues of like the trials and tribulations of getting attacked for that. Alan, are you back yet? I know Alan was here. He's still having mic issues, I guess. That stinks. I wanted to get his 2 cents. But Crap, you know what I mean. We went through this last night, and it was basically a lot of like people that were Horizon fans, like Dealer said, and now they're coming back second window. Like 7.5 is kind of right.
If you look at Guerrilla Games history, they haven't made anything that's great, in my opinion.
No.
But they've scored really well based on the technical prowess, based on the graphical prowess. If you go back and look at Killzone 2, for example, sits at a 91 Metacritic right now. Is that game a 91 rated shooter? Absolutely not. The problem with Guerrilla Games has always been they make boring games.
Yeah.
You know, this was no different. And I told you that you wouldn't get past the first bit because it starts off incredibly boring.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that really saves God of War is having Atreus with them the whole time. You know, it keeps things fresh, the interactions and stuff. When you're just playing that game by yourself, you're just this girl that's talking to herself and fighting Transformers, you know, and very clunky controls at that. So
Clunky controls.
Yeah, clunky.
Didn't you play Detroit?
Yeah, I played Detroit, and I also said that had incredibly clunky controls.
Those
and warned
controls
everybody
were
about
trash,
it.
Dude.
Yeah, well, that's the type of game those are, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I played a little Horizon Zero Dawn. I wasn't interested in it to begin with. Like, nothing about it interests me. And what I played of it was like, it's fine. But it's just kind of like, there are people who genuinely love it, and good on them.
Much eye candy to me, man.
Yeah,
I'm the only one on the panel that apparently loved that game.
Yeah, like Boom Bro loves it, and I would never go out of my way to say you're wrong for loving this game. And it's perfectly fine to critique games, but it's also kind of like some people do genuinely just love this game, and they're not just saying I love this game for console war stuff.
Boom! What did you love about it? I think inquiring minds want to know.
You know, here's the thing. First of all, you mentioned Transformers, and growing up as a kid, that was actually one of my favorite properties, my favorite toys as a kid, right? So, I really just liked the open world. I liked Aloy as a character. I liked the fact that she was an outcast from her tribe, and she was kind of left to fend on her own. I think that the graphics were phenomenal, especially when you're hiding in like the bushes and you see the individual grass swaying back and forth. It's just little touches like that. The different environments where you went from it being like a giant garden to like the snow mountains. It's just, I really enjoyed. I hate to say this, and I know that you guys we talk about this and we laugh about. I lost my leg, and you have to go find the guy's leg or something.
He has a bum leg, and he wants you to go find the cane.
Right, you need the cane.
Yeah.
So I
my
actually,
leg.
I really enjoyed the side missions, but what really struck me as a person who enjoys story is that this is a primitive, thing going on top of the world that ended. You know what I'm saying? So you're seeing the burnt out buildings and the burnt out cars, and you're just wondering how it happened. I mean, like I said, for me, I really enjoyed it from start to finish. I didn't play through the entire DLC, but I almost platinumed that game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys think? We're doing a thing on MNC Evenings, guys. I'm interested to hear what Luca and Dealer are thinking. What do you think if you had to guess the Metacritic? What do you think Spider-Man's going to get?
I got my list.
If you have your list, let's hear it. But what do you think, Luca? Let me start with you. Like, you definitely put your ear to the ground on this. You know what's going on. I think two things. I'm just going to give you the instances, and then I want to hear your number. Okay. I think that you're going to get the comic book bias from the gaming media, because everyone from IGN to Kotaku, like when they're not talking about video games, they're talking about their comic book collection. So there's that. And then there's also just that Sony bias that seems to be out there. It floats. It's a little less. It's a little more subdued nowadays because Microsoft has given the media absolutely no ammunition, right? Everything you want, Microsoft does. Microsoft, we were hoping we get a shopping cart. Give them a shopping cart. Put the shopping cart in there next week. They said they wanted it. Give them the goddamn shopping cart. So anything you want, they'll do. But my point being is that, there's that little bit of built-in into the media. What number would you expect to get? Not what you think it should get. What do you think it will get?
Well, I'm going to have a wide range, to be honest. I'm not really too good when it comes to guessing scores, but between 84 and 89.
Okay,
you said my number right there, 84. Just stay right there, Ashton. That's where it's gonna be.
Dealer, what do you think is gonna be the legit number at the come next Friday or Friday the 7th?
I'm gonna follow up on Lucas' thing and say between a 60 and a 100.
Oh my goodness! Come on, man.
No, I think it's no. I'm just saying. I not that Luca just did it, but a lot of people are like, I think it'll be anywhere between an 80 and a 90. I'm like, okay, anything else?
It's a wide range.
I would say between an 85 and an 87.
Okay.
Not that's bad. I think
my vote, mine was 86. I'm out there. I've said it. I'm on Twitter saying it. I've said it on MNC. I said 86. Crap is brutally low. I don't see how it can get that number with the media existing. Crap,
people they're gonna be scared. I said 78 to 82, somewhere in between there, and that's probably where it'll land. Okay. Reason being is people are going to be much more critical given IGN's fiasco lately. Right. You're going to have people
a little bit more truth telling.
Yeah, because anybody that's going to go 10 out of 10. People are going to question that right away and think it's, fraudulent.
What YouTuber did you get that from?
Yeah, exactly. So I do think we're going to see some, and not only that, but if you just look at Spider-Man games, what can they like? I'm looking. I studied this because I did a video on it. I'm looking at review scores for all these Spider-Man games over the past 5-10 years, and they're all pretty low. And I'm thinking
because they didn't have a good developer behind it.
Well, I mean, some of them had some decent developers, but I'm like, what can this game do that those games failed to do?
It's kind of
completely?
crazy how good a game can be when it has a good developer. Crappy.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying, like, if you look at some of the ones, they had some decent developers. It wasn't like maybe not as good as Insomniac,
with
but
this one in the combat,
what are they doing that's gonna really go from make a game go from a 64 to what people are saying is a 90?
Well, I have to remind everybody real quick that Insomniac's last game was an 81 on Metacritic. The one before that was a 66. Now I don't abide by the logic that the last Spider-Man sucked. This one probably will too, or just slightly improve. I mean, it's night and day developer, things like that. Right. Most importantly, the development cycle is much longer, like 3 or 4 years. So I think it'll be easily mid 80s, probably, but 94 plus, like I've heard, that's fucking insane. Jesus.
What have you heard, dealer?
I've heard people say 92, 94.
Stop
like, what
it.
the fuck?
There's two things. There's two things going for Spider-Man now in today's generation that the other Spider-Mans didn't have. Now, the first one, and you can debate whether or not which one is more powerful than the other, but the first one is it's exclusive to PlayStation 4. The second one, for the Spider-Man fans out there, yes, there were other Spider-Mans, but no other Spider-Man made use of like the background and stuff the way Spider-Man would in either the comics or the movies. This one really looks like, you can grab like that cement sack and hit somebody with it using your web, and it's stuff that people have wanted in a Spider-Man game for a long time. Let me hit two things, man.
Let me hit two birds with one stone real quick. Pats are the best, which is going to anger crap. Who else should Xbox buy for studios? Pats, we'll get to that later on in the show, so I don't want you to
let me point something out, too, though. Better graphics isn't going to make the game suddenly better if the mechanics are flawed, or, if it's a QTE fest, or if it's a, like there's already...
It wasn't like Rise QTE fest?
I do, and that didn't deserve an 8 or a 7. It was probably like a 6 to 7, somewhere in between there.
That's what it got.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it got a 60, ended up at a 62 or something like that.
62 or 65, yeah.
So, I would say that probably deserved somewhere a little bit higher than that. But I'm just saying, like, I haven't played the game, but people that we know, like Zoot and other people that were actually there playing the game. Yes, I am Zoot. IGN, even though I'm not saying that they're the most, they had people who are big PlayStation fans, Spider-Man fans that play the game, and they go, you know what? I'm not really impressed. I've heard
some of the criticisms too.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, that to me, whereas when we seen them talk about, Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War, they're like, basically, they need to wear their white pants, if you know what I'm saying. With this game, not so much. So dealer gets it. That's what I'm talking about.
Really?
Yes.
I'm gonna say this, guys. Here's the thing. First of all, we understand the graphics look incredible. If you were a fan of the Arkham games, you're gonna probably really enjoy the combat. But the story is at the center here, and I think that no one is talking about that. First and foremost, there's rumors that not only are you going to be able to use Peter, but you're going to be able to use Miles Morales, and that is a big character in the Spider-Man universe.
Who the hell is Miles Morales?
Please share.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, Miles Morales he took over when Peter died. He became
Peter
Spider-Man.
died.
Yeah. So I mean, look again.
We gotta buy crap some comic books.
I don't want to read comic books. But.
Again, there's a lot.
Well, that's the problem I kind of have. And boom, you're just kind of piling on to my point. Like the
man, Butcher, like, who the hell's Miles Morales?
Miles Morales. I
Peter Parker died.
I thought that was a saxophone player in the '80s. Listen, I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? I didn't even know. I thought we were talking about Spider-Man. But my whole thing. The crop loves that one. There you go, folks.
Yeah, it does, man. It sounds like one of those jazz musicians that would guest star on the Cosby Show, right? Here's your uncle Miles Morales.
Here it is. My whole thing is this, though: are we getting caught up with the comic book? That's what I'm saying. The comic book fans are the ones that are I'm not going to say they're vocal minority. It might be vocal like majority.
Well, there's a couple of things, Mooch, that we have going on here that we did not have going on back in the days of those other Spider-Man games.
What happened to your grandma? She caught Miles Morales.
You have the MCU. right? You have the MCU. Spider-Man is hot right now. We know he has a movie coming out, and there's also a couple things.
How can he have a movie coming out? He's dead.
Well, the Irishman is not dead, but
too soon.
You know, again, the thing is this: you have a couple of things going on. The reason I'm not saying that the game is good or it's not good. I think the game is going to be fantastic, and I'm not just saying that as a Spider-Man fan. I'm just saying that as a fan of superhero game.
Boom! I got a question for you because you know more about this than a lot of people on the panel. So I have a concern with this game that I don't see a lot of people talking about.
Which is
that's the villains in the game.
Right
now. How many times, like, I know the Sinister Six, and I know, like, they're a big deal in Spider-Man universe, but how many times are we going to get games with either, like, some of the members or all the members? Like, I wanted something new since, you know, Insomniac was making this, you know, bring in other villains as, like, the main kind of, like, story. You know what I'm saying? Bring in Kraven, even like the symbiotes or stuff like that.
What happened though to like it being okay to just have one main villain though? Like even if it just had one main villain, that would be acceptable.
Yes.
Yeah, but and see that's my whole thing, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this. Like if you're a Spider-Man fan, yeah, you're kind of excited, but when it comes to Sinister Six, we've seen them time and time and time again. Like, why are you using the same
I don't even know who the Sinister Six are. Is that where's the octopus guy? Is he going to be in here?
Oh,
he's supposedly.
Luca,
I gotta bring this up on another show somewhere.
What about Venom? Are they putting him in there? I mean, that's a real Spider-Man villain right there.
There are a lot of villains that they're not disclosing are in there. I believe Kraven was a rumored one for sure. I don't think Venom is in it at all.
Oh, Venom! He's busy doing a bad-looking movie right now for Sony. Got it.
Well, you know what's funny? And shout out to Von Lamont in the chat. Von, I know you're a fan of the show, but you know he tends to lean a little bit more towards Sony.
I sound like Sean Connery.
He goes, are you guys not liking the game now because it's too comic booky? That's not at all what we're saying. I'm just saying that like it's when you have a discussion about the game. And even Boom's proving my point. Like if this was a defense trial right now, I'd be like, I call Senor Bombastic to the goddamn stand because here I am saying I want to talk about the game, and he's already into Miles Davis or something. I don't know what he's talking about, right? I don't know what he said. Somebody's apparently gonna. I don't know who these guys are. Like, but that's a me problem. I get it.
I mean, okay, the way and this is precisely why I'm not interested in the game, because I've read the comics and I've seen the TV shows and stuff, so I'm just kind of like about it. But it's kind of like it is a superhero game, so people are obviously going to bring up the comics and the TV shows and be like, oh, maybe they're going to do this and this and this. Like it's common sense. So
no, I agree with you. And
Brandon Lewis says, I'd love to see Carnage in the game. Would even love to have him in his own game. He's my favorite villain. Yeah, now I know who he is. He's the red symbiote thing, right? Yeah. So see, I know him, man. I'm all good with that.
That's just a symbiote merged with a serial killer, man.
Yeah. So I do remember something about Venom and Spider-Man having to team up to beat him one time, but that would make a good like a buddy cop type thing. That would have been.
You were a Marvel guy, crap.
I am, but I'm not. Like, here's the thing, man. Like, the last time I like read comics or anything like that, you're talking about like the 90s, and so that was pretty much the last time I count. Now I'll watch the Marvel movies and stuff like that, but overall, you know, I'm not like super. Like I know the people that died in Infinity War
I just find it cute,
are gonna come back.
No one died in Infinity War. No one. There's no spoilers here.
Exactly.
You're coming up. You know, you always attack me for my DC love because you're a Marvel fanboy when you don't even know anything about it.
No. I like the movies. I don't like.
I'm blocking you right
don't worry,
now.
Luke
Hey, fuck Batman. That's all I got to say to you.
I don't recommend fucking any kind of Batman at all.
Well, I am going to say this, that it's going to be very interesting to see how the media handles this, because obviously we know what happened with Detroit. Detroit got very good scores, and for good reason. The game was fantastic.
Was a good game.
And obviously God of War, Game of the Universe. Yeah. Still my Game of the Year for 2018.
It certainly better be for your own health. Go ahead.
But I'm very interested to see how it does. I still think it's going to show up somewhere as a 90 or an 89 in Metacritic.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know, but I'll tell you something with the media the way they are. I can't say Boom's crazy crap. But let's say this: you did bring something up, guys, and Dealer, I didn't see you do a video on it. And if you did, shame on me. But I know Crap did one. I know some others did them. There's the big thing going on with the whole IGN plagiarism thing, and this may be where Crap's point comes to fruition, where he's saying that maybe we're going to see a little bit more of the truth serum in these reviews coming out because now these big sites are under a microscope. So with this whole thing, whether you want to relate it, I'll start with Dealer, whether you want to relate it to the Spider-Man review, which will be coming out in about 3 weeks, or if you want to relate it to the plagiarism issue at hand, do you think that the gaming media right now is at a crossroads in gamers like trust?
No, I don't think they give two shits about any of that. I think the review numbers are going to be the exact same as they would have been any other way, and you just don't have Philip over there going typing, stealing everyone's shit, So whatever the case is, like I said, it looks to be a mid-80 to me. I just think people need to take a second and remember what a 90+ meta is. Like,
what it should be.
Yeah, like there's one major outlier, as I mentioned in the show, that's close, but that's that game is getting a lot of 10s.
Yeah,
and I do not. Insomniac never has been a 90+ meta. Now I'm hoping for the best as a consumer, as somebody who bought the game and is playing it at midnight. Right, I want it to be the best it could be, but looking at their track record, their highest rated game I think is at 86. It might be a little higher, but they're like a consistent 80 studios with a couple fuck ups here and there. So I think it'll be quality, man. I saw the first little boss battle there. It looked okay. It looked pretty fun. And like I said, the combat's going to draw me in. So I'm looking forward to it.
No, I agree. Luca, what do you think? You do the Scumcast and you do the whole thing, and you're all about like opinions, and that's what you're doing. You're pulling people on the show and you're like, let's talk about it. So when you see reviews come out from the big publications, I understand you probably don't give a shit, but like, what do you think? Do you think we're going to see a little bit more because of this plagiarism thing coming front and center, that we're going to see a little bit, maybe them caring and not maybe, showing the, and it was funny. Shout out to Steve Ballmer's bald spot in the chat who goes, can't do a podcast without Mooch saying media bias. You also can't have any podcast without Steve Ballmer's bald spot mentioning that in the chat. So what do you think, Luca? Is there going to be any kind of the Sony fanboyism in the media coming out in these reviews, or do you think maybe now they're being watched under a microscope, it'll be a little more truth?
So it's coming out in 3 weeks?
The 7th.
The 7th of September.
The embargo may lift a little earlier.
So think of it is that once this week is over, unless something else comes out, the news about Philip's going to be dead. All right, because we get so much information coming out that we go through topics like.
Yep.
So, in my opinion, whatever they were gonna score Spider-Man, I'm with Dealer with it. They're gonna score it however they were gonna score it.
I think
and
so,
if anything, it may get propped up more. If it's a good game, like if it's good, it may get propped up a little bit more just because it's a good Spider-Man game and people love Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like the most popular Marvel hero.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say so.
Definitely 1, 2, and yes, it gives whoever's in front of it a run for its money. My point being is that like we've had people, and again, shout out to Zoot, who does gaming journalism, and he was on CrossFire after.
Apparently, that guy can get away with saying shit that we never could. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, he really does, doesn't he? He's got like
sometimes I'll see something he tweets, and I'll be like, man, if I said that, I'd have 20 videos exposed. Crap Gamer did this. Do this. Drink bleach. I'd have more people tell me to drink bleach than already tell me to drink bleach. Well, yeah, I mean, come on, man.
But getting back to what Zoot said, I don't know how many. I know the panel knows it that was here, but he had said when he played it at E3 that the minute he was done swinging around and he got to the ground level, it was a very barren, blah experience. So he's like, everything you were doing with swinging and rooftop fighting and this and that, which is what I've said, it was good.
Also,
and everything else
I want to point out something where most of us are on board with probably 80s in the Metacritic, and that is no way trashing this game whatsoever.
Not at all.
Because my guess is it could be low 80s, which is what this game looks like, and going off of multiple people that I've talked to that have actually played this game. So the fact that there's no New Game Plus and a lot of other issues as well, that's what I'm saying. We're critiquing it. I'm sure it's going to be a fine game, and I have the collector's edition pre-ordered. If I thought it was going to be complete trash, I wouldn't have done that. And is it going to be better than God of War? I can already tell you that that's probably not going to happen.
No,
it's just not going to. Like, it's a comic book game,
and we should not
remind
people too that it's not that it's Spider. It's a Sony game, so we're guessing the Metacritic. No, we've done that on every Xbox game that's come out this year. So,
and me and Mooch play guess that Metacritic on multiple games.
Yeah, I mean, it's Sea of Thieves. We all guess the Metacritics. State of Decay 2. We talked about it before it came out. Guess the Metacritic. Same with Spider-Man. Any game that's kind of we're looking forward to, we'll do this on.
Right. No, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's my thing. And Alan, are you here, Alan? Do we have you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
There he is.
Mooch to Ireland. Mooch to Ireland. All right, we are there. Good. Alan, real quick, I wanted to get your opinion on it. I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit. We were kind of talking about the backlash that, a lot of people, like in this case, what a lot of the YouTubers kind of get when they put their opinions out there on games. People will just read the headline and then kind of just, Dealer went off yesterday on a bunch of people because they didn't watch his video. You kind of go through this, don't you? Sometimes, Alan, when you're dealing with the Forza, because you're a Forza guy, and that's just the way it is, right? So the minute you may have a critique, even if it's nothing really damaging to a Gran Turismo, sometimes you get a little bit of that pushback from the other side? Do you deal with that?
Yeah, like sometimes, you'll often hear things like, oh, you're just too positive about Forza, or why would you, critique this, or you might be people in the community often don't like it if you report on, leaks and stuff like that. So yeah, there can be stuff like that. I think at the end of the day, people will they'll see, a title, or they'll see a thumbnail, and they'll have made up their mind on what they think about your story from just that.
And then they click on it anyway and complain.
Click on it anyway, complain. If it's a video,
don't report on this leak I just read. It's pretty bad.
Now, there's enough people on the panel here today that I know are probably fans of this game that I'm going to bring up in the next release, Spider-Man Alone, for a bit. And I'm not a fan of the game. So I almost want to like pull myself out of the conversation because you guys know how I feel about it. But right now, Battlefield 5's pre-orders are extremely quote unquote weak. Yes. And I'm not surprised in the least for multiple reasons for the game itself. I'm not a big fan of Battlefield, but put that aside, my biggest issue, and shout out to Salty who's in the chat, we both kind of said the same thing on Xbox Nation weeks back at the reveal, is that Battlefield 5 really just looks like Battlefield 1 DLC. So what do you guys think about this? Are you guys even really kind of like in tune and give a shit about the pre-orders, or do you not? I don't know who the bigger... I know Dealer kind of likes Battlefield, I believe. I know Boom might.
Yeah, I like Battlefield. Though to play the multiplayer, I like Conquest, so I would choose that over Call of Duty any day of the week.
Well, I mean, and that's fine. That's fine. But don't you feel like Battlefield 5 is really just Battlefield 1 continued?
Well, it's World War II. I mean, that's probably where it's going to run into its problem. It's really funny because prior to Call of Duty going back to World War II, right? And everyone you talk to that plays these games, that buys them religiously, oh, I'm so sick of I'm so sick of in the future, I'm flying spaceships. I want World War II. So Call of Duty does it. And then, of course... then you had Battlefield 1 come out, and it seems after one game people are ready to just be done with it and go back to modern. I don't know if that's going to hurt it. The other thing that may help it is the fact that it does have a single player campaign, which is something that Call of Duty doesn't have. Now I want to say this. I really forget, just remove the Battlefield 5 whatever it's about. I'm just really, it makes me scratch my head as a reviewer, as a game player, why EA keeps doing this to themselves. They basically are pulling a Titanfall 2 once again. And
please explain this. I'm very interested.
Battlefield 5 is releasing in between Black Ops 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Black Ops 4 is October 12th, Battlefield 5 is October 19th, and Red Dead Redemption is October 26th. I got to be honest with you. It's going to get crushed. And I understand there are a lot of Battlefield fans out there, and I happen to be one of them. But doesn't this make you scratch your head? I mean, we all do these shows.
Yeah.
They did this with Titanfall, and Titanfall got demolished. And I'm not saying that Titanfall is any less of a game or a Battlefield is any less of the other two games. It's just that, man, to put it in between two behemoths like that once again, it just... I don't understand.
I gotta say, like, when it comes down to it, I know at certain points in time that, certain titles coming out in between other titles and stuff like that. And it's a big deal. And people are like, why did they do that? but we have been hearing it so much this generation. I'm tired of hearing it. Like, I think the whole thing that happened with Battlefield is the Star Wars effect, is what's going on right now.
Yeah.
They have to kind of like pay their dues to get back into the good graces of gamers out there. I feel like Battlefield was growing. It was really growing. And then Star Wars happened. You know, people were talking about Call of Duty and then Battlefield, right? Right. Now it's not so much. Of course, you're going to have diehard fans out there who are Battlefield fans, and they're going to go and they're going to buy it. I think this is going to happen until Anthem releases, because Anthem is a new IP. It's got that energy.
I got to give you credit, Xbot. I really value how you kind of pulled that segment out and made that comparison, but I'm not buying it.
Let me point something out here. First of all, there is no Star Wars syndrome. Star Wars messed up Star Wars because they put out a shitty movie. That's not what happened.
The loot boxes. And
here we go.
I'm sorry. Episode 7 was trash.
It was,
but that's the only reason I didn't go see Solo. They totally ruined that.
And I can go, Solo in the Battlefield 5. Go ahead.
Solo is the best new Star Wars movie, just so you know.
Here's the thing. I know, but here's the thing. I paid and I went to go watch episode 7 and I just walked away disgusted.
Yep.
I felt like I had food poisoning, and when you have food poisoning, you don't go back and eat the same shit again, right? So I didn't do it. I'll probably go back and see 9. If they fuck that up, then I probably won't go back and watch Star Wars anymore, right? Like I'm not going to be one of those people that bitches nonstop, even though it sounds like it. But okay, so Battlefield's problem is this. I think they pissed off a core group, and I know, and then like some people wanted it to be more realistic, and this may be controversial, but some people, if you notice, the newer trailer was really more realistic than the original one, right? And then you had the developer go, "We don't care what people think. This certain group of people, we'll do our games how we want to do them." And now that pre-orders are low, they changed their tune a little bit, and it's a little bit more realistic. I think another problem is, like you said, it looks a little bit like some of these other games. Going from World War I to World War II is sort of similar. Yeah. Not only that, but we had come from a futuristic game after futuristic war game after futuristic war game, so it's refreshing. So now it doesn't look as refreshing. It looks good to me. Certainly looks better to me than that Black Ops trash.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that it's kind of coming up against Red Dead 2. And I think Black Ops as a name is something to be reckoned with. But when you look at it, man, like I watched the NX Gamers technical analysis of it on the S. That thing's running at 720p, like in 2018, and it has like and he's really he was really pointing out like it could be better by the time it launches, but it was really the anti-aliasing is poor, and you can't see stuff in the distance, soft images, stuff like that. So it looks like not only are they cutting out the campaign, but they're cutting out proper development for the game. So I don't
720p though.
What's that?
Was it really 720p?
Well, he said that the Xbox One S version was 720p.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the S.
I played it on my X, and it looked.
Yeah, the X supposedly was running at 1440 or something like that. I don't know, but he did both the Xbox One S and X and the Pro and PC versions, and he said that the Pro actually ran the better frame rate than the X on there. So I don't know anything about that, but yeah, so it's a little bit weird to see that. I think that it'll be.
I think Call of Duty is going to have an issue with a lot of the YouTube community and a lot of the people that kind of do these rants and reviews. I think, and I'll explain that in a second. Let me just shout out to RockDog31, which says Battlefield 5 is not Battlefield 1, Destiny 1 is not Destiny 2. I hear you there, Rock. But here's my thing.
Similar.
Right? My whole thing is this, that like I think when you tune into anything, it doesn't matter if you're listening to your favorite YouTuber or you're listening to a major publication in gaming journalism, you're going to get the whole woe is me. They took out my single player campaign. You're going to hear that from everybody. But realistically, what makes Call of Duty their money is their multiplayer. So Call of Duty, realistically, I think they dropped the ball this year big time, and it's not the single player part is the part that I'm devastated with. I've read articles now. There's things coming out that they basically tried to do something ingenuitive. It failed, and now you've got the team that is scrambling, and they're basically putting a new skin over Black Ops 3. So that's what you're getting. That's why you're seeing.
How do you do that? How do you
consider
yourself a developer?
Crap. They
I get
tried
that,
something
but it's
and
like, holy
failed.
shit, 3 years and you don't, and that's the best you have?
If you work 2.5 on the failure part, yeah, you're running out of time.
What was the source on the failure part though? Because
Eurogamer was one of them. I think.
They were big. I thought Kotaku did a piece too. My thing is just that, like, and it's not about calling out those publications. I warrant and I value those readings I took. But what I'm saying to you is that, like, I think that Call of Duty will do well in sales because ultimately, at the end of the day, the people that have been playing there's still people playing Call of Duty up and down the friends list because they just like playing multiplayer. That game will always thrive in that department. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying it's going to do well because those people will just buy the next iteration. Yeah. Next year, you guys are going to
sell no matter what.
Right, exactly. But listen, my thing is this. Next year, you're getting your single player campaign back. I can guarantee you that. That's coming back. And you're going to get something hopefully a little bit more refreshing. So this year's a bust, I think, for Call of Duty and Battlefield. Just my personal opinion.
Well, also I want to point out something that low pre-orders doesn't necessarily mean low sales because there was also saying that God of War had low pre-orders. So I mean, it's some people don't pre-order now as much in the day and age of.
Well, why would you? Gaming. You don't get anything for it. What do you get? Like a scarf or a hat?
No, well, if you pre-order digitally off the Xbox store, they give you money. So I mean, it's like
I ordered Forsaken, $80 version, man.
Yeah, so
nice spot. Yes. I got to do that still. I still haven't done that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, so that my whole thing with Battlefield 5, and it was funny because somebody, I can't remember who just said it on the panel. Somebody was like, "Well, it is." Somebody in the chat was like, "Mooch, it's World War II, so it's different." Listen, guys, I don't know if you're a history buff or not, but not a whole lot changed in the guns and the fighting.
Well, I mean, yes, we can say, Mooch, is that this is the most similar two Battlefield games have been right after one another.
Yes,
in terms of the lack of, I guess you'll say, I don't know, like you said, there's very little advancement there. That was kind of the problem with BF1 was. You had like 4 or 5 fucking guns per class. It gets old. It looks phenomenal. The X patch is great. They fixed the party stuff, but at the end of the day, Battlefield 5 does look very similar, and it's kind of the same reason people said Hardline could have been a Cops and Robbers DLC for BF4, right?
Dealer. Yes. This is something when they showed Battlefield 5 and they said World War II and stuff like that. I think people are ready to move forward. You know what I'm saying? Bring in the whole Vietnam situation more into first-person shooter war games. Even going into the desert more, like what happened with like Desert Storm and stuff like that. That might be a little bit newer, but I think people, they kind of go with that nostalgia. Like, oh, I remember those World War II games, those Call of Duties that were World War II and stuff like that, and they kind of missed them when they were doing the future and stuff like that. But I think what the gamer that really these games really cater to, I think they want to go not future, but kind of like in between World War II and
modern day, bro.
Just modern stuff. Like, holy crap.
5 guns per class, no attachments, no customization. Like, Battlefield 4 were coming out. I just was saving enhance that. I would play the hell out of it, man.
Yes, well said.
Because it's fixed now, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I wanted from Call of Duty 2. I'm not saying 2, but as also. But yeah, Call of Duty. Instead, you got superpowers and shit. You know what I mean? Like, God, just give me a game with boots on the ground with attack like Modern Warfare, right? Like how those games are so great. Why do these developers get so far away from what worked for them, right? Like, just put out what works. And like, it's obviously like this is the most uninterested I've ever been in a Call of Duty game.
I agree. So, shout out to Crispy Bomb Crab. He says, "Why didn't they should have done a Bad Company? Everybody thought that we were going to get Bad Company 3 this year, right?
Yep.
And why are they not listening? I mean, listen, a lot of these companies now have their ear to the ground.
They're going to make the games that they want to make, and that's it.
Man. I can tell you why. Because if you look at the sales of Bad Company, 5 million versus the Battlefield mainline, which are doing 15 to 20 million.
Yeah,
it's easy to see why.
Well, there you go.
But if you just look back to it's too close and too similar to World War One. Instead of crop dusters hitting your head, it'll be something else, I guess.
Yeah. That's true. Or getting pegged off by 7 miles away. Luke, I'm glad you're on the panel tonight because I'm going to need you to make up with Lady Foxfire because between my Spider-Man rant and my Battlefield 5 one, I'm in the hole right now. I'm going to need some help. No, shout out to Lady Foxfire. Thanks for being here. Guys, let me switch the subject real quick to a game that's I really want to get your guys' take on it because this was a game to me that was a never was. And I brought it up last week to Xbot. I don't know if he did his homework and tried it out. He said he might this week, but I'm not going to hold him to it. We Happy Few,
grinding.
We Happy, right? Me too, I hear it. We Happy Few was a game that I honestly gave no shits about at all. And now I've been watching Luca. Shout out to our boy Rad Brad. Let's do this. Okay. By the way, I watched his part 10. I watched his part 10 of We Happy Few. Luca, he said, "I love you" to the audience at least 75,000 times in 20 minutes. That is amazing. That's a world record, right?
We love him too.
Yes, right. We do. We really do. We do love you. We absolutely love the Red Brad. Let me pay the bills real quick here. I do have Brandon Lewis says, who on the panel is looking forward to the Resident Evil 2 remake? That looks very nice. Listen, Brandon, we are going to get into that because if we get boom on that, we'll never get back into the show.
I just don't get crap gamer.
Oh, listen, we'll get to that later. That's right.
I fell into a time warp to 1997.
Crap! Listen, that was a good year.
Completely redone. What are you talking about, man?
That was a great vintage in Napa. Listen,
that was a great year.
It really was. But here's my whole thing. Alan chimes in with it's great. I do want to talk about We Happy Few. If anyone else has played it besides Bot, Luca, do you see what I'm seeing? I really think that this game has something to it, regardless of the Metascore. It looks pretty good. It looks like a lot of fun.
Well, I need to play more of it to get a real foundation on like my opinion on it. But so far, it's fine. I like the beginning scene. It reminded me a lot of the novel 1984, which is a dystopian novel. I love dystopias. I watched Jim Sterling's review on it, which was fucking hilarious. So that was
Chubby Chaser.
I don't know what that means, Crappy.
You don't know what a chubby chaser is?
I don't know what that is, sir. I'm sorry. I'm too young to know what you're referring to.
Oh, bullshit. Get out of here.
Oh, God. Not like this.
But what do you think, Luca? What do you think of the game? I know you say you have to play it a little bit more, but like, do you think that it has, I think it's much more in depth than I thought it would be.
I mean, honestly, Mooch, I'm going to have to see. I mean, I didn't pay for it. My game share partner picked it up when it was still $30 in preview. So he was like, hey man, we got the game. I was like, oh, okay. So I tried it out and I need to play more. I like the aesthetic. I like the graphics. I haven't had any issues. And I know that the main complaints from people is that there's a lot of bugs.
There's bugs. Yeah.
But I don't know. And if it is an issue, if there's a lot of bugs and it ruins the experience, believe me, you will hear about it. But as it stands right now, I haven't played enough of it.
Luca, I like two things. You said. First of all, I loved your impression of your game share person. That was awesome. So number two, the Rad Brad is enjoying it, and he said the same thing. There's some bugs. He does. That is kind of true.
He loves everything.
He loves everything and everyone.
Was that the guy that did even like the Order 1886?
He loves everything.
I'm playing the Order 1886. Nobody seems to care, but let's do this.
Let's do this anyway. Dealer, what do you think about We Happy Few? Even if you haven't played it, I mean, you've definitely seen enough of it. Does it hold a candle in your book or not at all?
Looks like it's holding an L at a 60.
Oh, geez. Wait, it is low on the meta.
As far as I'm concerned, it was a little indie game by a studio that didn't really have the greatest track record. I'm really hoping, because I think it's like, what is it? A 66, right? On
mid 60s is what I saw. 67.
I'm hoping that Microsoft bring in a new studio head or something and turn those guys around, because we all know in a game studio, a lot of that direction and success comes from the guys that are leading those studios. So they need new direction or a new leader, or at least whatever the hell they need. Hopefully Microsoft gives it to them. That's what I'm trying to say. Get those guys making better quality games, because I would hope that everyone kind of expects more than another 60.
Yeah, go ahead, I think that maybe people would have been kinder to the game if they didn't charge $60 for it. I'm just saying. The price point.
Agreed. 25-30 max, right? Like, that's what it looks like.
I mean, it looks like a 20, 20. If this game had been $20 and it wasn't full of bugs, I think people would be a lot kinder on it. People would probably love it.
I mean, they got like deluxe editions and all this stuff. Like,
well, here's the thing, right? Like, this was an indie studio. Microsoft didn't have really anything to do with it. This was a game that was backed by Kickstarter as well. That could explain some of it. They're obviously probably going to hire on some people. Maybe it could have used a little bit more time in development. I don't really know, but it's loads better now than what it was early on in preview. That much is definitely sure. I like a lot of the British humor and things like that. I think it looks really good as well.
Yeah.
Like when you take the joy and everything's colorful versus when you don't and everything looks real shitty. I enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty cool and pretty quirky. I like the story of it more than anything. So I don't think it's a terrible game. It's probably not as good a game as what they wanted to do, but it's like, it's going to do what Microsoft, that studio will probably do what Microsoft is best at, putting out those 65 games in Game Pass day and date, Yeah. It's going to be, I mean, it'll fit along.
Listen, it is
extra Sea of Thieves and, I'm sure Crackdown 3.
Yeah.
And whatever. what else did that damn zombie game that they put out.
Well, it's funny. Let's talk about Game Pass for a minute, because I know Xbox drooling at the.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Chomping at the bit at this, and don't get me wrong, and Dealer's a big, and it's funny. Dealer's a big fan of it, and his rationale holds water. I have a year of Game Pass currently. I got it for the half price. And it was great. It is good. But I will say this much, and Dealer, you are a big fan of the whole Vermintide game that went there day and date. Yesterday, something that Mike Ibarra tweeted out, I believe it was Mike. If it wasn't Mike, I apologize, Mike or Larry. That Graveyard Digger, I believe, is the game. It's made by the game's made by Tiny Build. And it's a very small indie game. No big deal, really. It's kind of like what is that thing called? Starview Valley or Star, whatever it is.
Starview Valley, yeah.
Yes, it's like that game, but it's not like that game, but it's got that like living world. You have to keep going to it and taking care of it, that kind of essence. Mm-hmm. So in that retrospect, I want to tip my hat to Tiny Build and say, well done on a great game. But that being said, Mike or whoever it was like, another good reason to have Game Pass. Game came out today, bang, in Game Pass. And I'm like, Mike, that's a $19.99 game that probably should be $7.99. And realistically, nobody gives a shit. So, I mean, my whole thing is that, yes, we're seeing games like the people like Doom, boom, Rage 1, boom. These are games that are really old or on 360 that most don't care about anymore. Then you get Graveyard Digger, and you're like, what? So a lot of people are like, come on, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. And I'm just kind of sitting there saying, until we get a third-party game, and I keep using this game for an example, Metro, the new Metro Exodus game. If that game because that game is going to be an absolute failure in sales. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. I'm saying it's going to be an absolute failure in sales. If that game came out day and date in Game Pass, that's where you start to, do the old off my shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Get off my shoulder. This is something legit. You guys see what I'm saying? These other games that are coming in there,
now, man.
It's okay. It's not great.
I know we've been going kind of back and forth.
I have it.
I do know.
It's not great for you, Mooch, but I mean, like I said, one game in there alone is worth
that is true.
Entire month.
The value's there.
The value has been there even without their exclusives, and I think it's absolutely imperative for people to understand that Vermintide by itself, which is a $30 game, and it's a really fun game. I don't know how much I didn't put much time or effort in State of Decay 2. There's a lot of systems there, and you probably didn't have the time to really learn them. But that game is better than its predecessor in every way, right? Okay. And I know that because I've got a fuck ton of time into both of them.
Yes,
that game alone is worth that $10 for an entire month by itself. It just depends on who you are, and I just don't like putting blanket statements on that kind of stuff. So when it comes to games, there are a ton of quality games in Game Pass, and like I said, if you got kids and you don't already own all these games, all your problems are solved for games, right?
One other thing, just real quick, with Mikey Barr and them coming out and talking about this game as a reason to get Game Pass, maybe within themselves, they see it as when Stardew Valley came out, there was a pretty big following there, right? Or whatnot, and they might be looking at it in that aspect.
That's my interpretation. That's not don't quote me. I'm just saying.
And they could be right, they could be wrong, but at the end of the day, you won't know unless you put it out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I definitely know what you're saying, and I think again, if you're going to sit here and we're going to have a value debate, I think Dealer is going to win probably 10 out of 10 times. It's not really a value thing, and it's not really a Mooch thing. It's really not. I'm just saying that as far as the conversations of the people that I deal with, I would say probably if we were just to pull 10 people that have it, I would say probably 3 or 4 are legitimately, truly enjoying it with their families, and the rest are kind of like, well, I just have it because why not? And that's okay. That's the same reason I have Netflix. I'm not a huge Netflix fan personally, but I have it because why not?
But you have it.
Right, and that's my whole thing. That's why I have Game Pass, right? Because listen, I'm not a Forza fan. You guys know this. I've said it almost every other week since I've started podcasting. I love Forza. I appreciate Turn 10. I appreciate Playground Games. The talent is through the roof. I'm not a huge Forza fan, but I'm going to utilize Forza 4 in Game Pass and not worry about purchasing it.
Game Pass is going to skyrocket when that game comes.
And you know what?
yeah.
The best part of all
That's
this
gonna
is
be
now that Game Pass is a year old, we actually have information. Phil's talked about it publicly. You already know the gamers have never been playing more games. The engagement's up. The sales are even up, which nobody really predicted. I think the results speak for themselves. You know, it is an absolutely phenomenal value. And that's just for, like I said, rent 1 or 2 games for a week for $10 or $150. And you can't tell me there aren't at least 20 awesome games in Game Pass right now. Gears and Halo, all this stuff. Like, there's so much good stuff in there. So it really depends on who you are. I personally own about 600 games. And, I already own everything in there that I want to own. Right. But I understand that much like VR or something else, I'm not going to shit on it because I don't have one or it's not for me. It's for someone else.
Actually, before the podcast tonight, I was playing Doom. I was playing through the campaign, and I'm playing it on Game Pass because it is not the kind of game I would buy, but I'm enjoying it on Game Pass.
It's so much fun.
There you go. Like, to give you an example, right? Like the Jessica Jones series that's on Netflix. There's no way in God's green earth I would ever go out and buy that at Best Buy in the DVD set. But if it's on and I've already watched through Punisher and I was like, oh, let me watch another one of these Marvel, I'll watch that. So I get where you're coming from, and that's why I have Netflix. I understand and dealers' value works, but it's not the idea of bashing. It's the idea that we are also talking games 6 to 7 hours a week on podcasts, so we have to have discussion. I just think that personally, when I see, Mike or anybody from the Xbox camp be like, hey, Graveyard Diggers, now in Game Pass. I'm like, I don't know if I'd actually tweet that out.
You know what?
I mean, that's my point.
Well, let me just chime in if you don't mind, because here's the thing. They have to do that. And I'm not saying, it may not have, maybe this would be better on Xbox Wire. I don't know. But I'm going to say this. I currently am sitting just under 800 games on my 14 terabytes, right, for my Xbox One. And that's generations of games. And there are still a ton of games in Game Pass that A, I've never played, and B, may not have ever played if not for Game Pass. Now, I'm like you. I'm paid up until March of 2019. Like, I took advantage of the sale. I got, the 6 months or the year for $30. I took advantage of that. But I again, when you talk about Game Pass and you mention that we're on show 6 and 7 hours a week, it may not be as important to us, but the common person that buys 4 and 5 games a year will look at that and say, and again, this is not to to start fluttering the flame wars, but I guarantee you ask any PlayStation person who doesn't buy a lot of games, that buys those 5 or 6 games per year. Right. If Sony offered something like this, they would be throwing their money at them.
Yes.
So this is just another service that Microsoft offers that the other guy doesn't. And as it stands right now, they have just under, with the last couple of titles.
I say this all the time, Boom. It's like when people, myself personally, I don't go to buffets. Okay, in real life, I don't go to buffets. But the minute I say something like that, someone's gonna be like, "Come on, Mooch! Just the amount of chicken wings I eat alone at Golden Corral puts the money to shame." Right? So everyone's always got a reason. There's always another but if, and especially in 2018, my Lord.
At least at a buffet, though, you could argue quality, right?
Yes.
Whereas in Game Pass, there's no, you got Gears 4 and all these great high quality games in there. Doom, for instance.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Yes. And I just wanted to, Dealer, I just want to pop in here for a second, because breaking news, apparently Injustice 2 is coming to Game Pass.
Is it official, though?
Well, this is what I got on it. According to, this is coming from, I think, Reddit. Basically, when you click on the game, it says it's this much in Game Pass.
Okay.
So they haven't officially.
So that's still rumor.
It's still rumor.
I mean,
technically, you gotta be careful, Boom. You are on Crossfire. Shout out to Midway 7 Monsters. Game Pass is perfect for users' numbers, not sales. Midway, great point. Sean W. 2 previous CODs in Destiny 2 in Game Pass equals jackpot.
Right. You're going to be waiting for that one.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Mooch, here's the thing, and I know what you're saying. I agree with Mooch that there needs to be a third-party day and date at some point in time to go into Game Pass. Now, if you're looking at Game Pass now, it's been out for, maybe a little over a year.
Yeah.
It's successful, and none of the big hitters from Xbox has really come out. because they're doing their first party day and date with Game Pass. So the next Gears that's coming out is going to be huge. You know, when Halo drops, that's going to be huge.
Yes.
And they have that because they have that success now. They have that window to really go in and talk to third party.
Absolutely.
You know, because it's successful
It's
now.
hard to
It's
argue
only
with-
going to get bigger, man.
It's hard to argue with anything you just said, and I won't. What Dealer said also, and there's a lot. Look, it's so shady.
But this
right?
is why you're a fuckface.
No, I won't go there. No, my whole thing is this. Listen, I just think that the way that Xbox just started his sentence is what I would like to say. So, Dealer, you've given great examples, Xbox, great examples of all the people out there that aren't like us that have 500, 600 games, okay? Which I don't have, by the way. If anybody wants to donate any games to Mooch, you know where to find me. Okay, I don't have that
There
many.
it is.
But,
Send
right?
them Airport Simulator then.
Yeah, Airport Simulator. Yes. No, realistically though, why not have a huge game that's third party that goes in there day and date? That's massive. Okay, like a Metro Exodus for the people. Because I'm a consumer too, Dealer. If we're going to include everybody else that buys 2 games a year, how about us that buy 10, 15 games a year, 20 games? There needs to be something for everybody,
before
right?
we tackle that though, we have to acknowledge that Game Pass is already a steal. And extremely pro-consumer. I'll add to that they've already started adding third-party stuff, like nobody expected fucking Vermintide 2 to be in their day and date. Nobody thought that's a really good, nice, quality game to be in Game Pass. I don't know, everyone who's played it has enjoyed it. It's Left 4 Dead with rats and swords. Okay,
Yes.
and secondly, this is just it's just turned 1 year old. I was surprised that we got that as soon as we did, and I think that we will see in time, and it's important not to be a creature of the moment, right? Like, oh, it's this way right now, and that's how it'll always be. No, it's never been that way. It will never be that way. So as Xbox said, you got Gears, you got Crackdown, you got Forza coming. These things are just going to keep coming and dropping. Then you're occasionally going to get one of those third-party games that hits as well. And that's on Microsoft. If they feel like that's worth doing. But at the end of the day, I do not expect that because Netflix doesn't really do that shit either. This is basically Netflix for games. We've all been over this 1,000 times. So they're going to make their own shows and put them in their day one. Usually they're going to pay a third party to get it later on. So,
Dealer, let me ask you this, and by no means are you held to it at all. So we know you have Game Pass right now. Are you buying currently? Do you buy it by the year, every 6 months, or are you a month-to-month basis type of buyer?
Month to month.
So you're month to month. So when will you do you have it currently?
Yes.
Okay. Now, of course, you're probably going to re-up for Forza, I would assume.
No, I already bought the Forza. I want to own. See, that's the thing with me. I'm kind of a different situation. I like to.
Well, see, I want to talk about
to
your situation.
At least as close to own the games that I possibly can. So I pre-ordered the Forza Horizon 4 Ultimate Edition, and then I have Game Pass for some things here and there, like Vermintide. I still haven't paid more money for Game Pass than I would have if I would have just bought Vermintide, which I was going to do anyway.
No, I agree with you. I got the year for $59.99, and I activated it in July. I'm good till July 2019. You're right. Anything I play right now, you're right. I would not be able to go buy any of these games currently. Okay, and
I give away Game Pass a lot, like on the Patreon, and people always want Game Pass, man. Like they really, really love Game Pass. It's always the one thing people are like, "Give me that copy of Game Pass." All right,
crap. You got to tell Dealer our story. With
Okay, so we were giving away Game Pass as a pony prize on MNC mornings, right? So that when people see a pony go across the screen, they call in on Skype, and the first person to call in wins. They hated getting Game Pass so much that they would stop calling in. So we had to change. Yeah, we had to change the price.
Well, this was before the first party announcement.
Yeah, we couldn't give it away. In fact,
Game Pass wasn't quite that great.
Yeah, somebody gave us like 3 or 4 full 1 year 1 year memberships. I couldn't give it away. I ended
People
up
actually wrote us, Dealer, and said, "Hey, Mooch, crap, do you guys mind is there anything else you got in your bag of goodies? I'll give you back the year Game Pass."
Remember, people that tune into MNC mornings are the most hardcore of the hardcore, and they've already got all the Xbox games that were in there.
But Dealer, let's talk about you though. You're hardcore. You're a gamer to the nines. Okay, so here's my question: like. You just said yourself, and I kind of put myself in your category in the fact that I would like, even though I'm not a Forza fan, I like to own it. So what about us? We are still consumers, and our vote still counts. Just because we have these situations where we're able to get the games or we buy, like that doesn't, like we're still consumers. What would you say? Forget value for a minute. Talk about temptation. What's the game that you'd want to be put in there? And you don't have to give a title. You can give an instance or a situation or a company that you'd want to go in there that actually makes you the consumer instead of just you dealer or the YouTuber saying it's good value. I understand it's good value, but like myself personally, as much as it's good value, I'm not necessarily excited for grave diggers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And I'm not.
Nobody's excited for grave diggers.
No,
I
know. Whatever's graveyard digger.
I'm not either. But what I can tell you is that if Avengers just dropped, right? If that went to Netflix day one, I would have still bought the 4K copy. Like,
fact.
It's just the way I operate, and I can just say that it's a great value now. If they dropped Shadow of the Tomb Raider in their day one, I would still buy that. That's I can't really speak for a lot of people, but I do know people like Shady who are getting Forza Horizon 4 through Game Pass for $10. Like,
yeah, that's me too. Unless
I mean, I'm just saying that it already benefits the normal consumer, but you and I, Mooch, we like to own these things, right?
That is true.
So it doesn't apply to us specifically, but for most Xbox guys, you just want to pay $10, you get all their exclusives. Like, that by itself is more than enough for 98% of people.
Do you think it's semi? No, Alan, go ahead. No, Alan, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for me, it's a bit weird as well because, like, when it comes to Forza, I obviously like to own it and like I like to have it. I like to get the Ultimate Edition, get the best version, get all the extra goodies, everything. When it comes to other games, I'll happily Game Pass them. I would happily Game Pass them because it's such a great value saving. Do you know what I mean? It's just there's so much value to it. And if they dropped Shadow of the Tomb Raider day and date on Game Pass, that would be bloody amazing.
Really, and if you didn't care to own those games, if you cared to own those games, then all of that flies out the window, right? That's what I say. It's extremely variable, depending on who.
Let me just say this real quick. Duke Togo 13 apparently got his badge today for chat police. I apologize. It's not Graveyard Digger. It's Graveyard Keeper. Thank you, Duke Togo 13. Your trophies in the mail.
You sounded way cooler as Graveyard Digger.
Yes, it did. It did. Who cares?
I mean, I mean, come on. Like,
anyway, there's always a cop in the chat. Listen, my thing about this is that right?
Spelling cop.
We actually have a cop on the panel. But look, boom. That's great. But here's my whole thing. Realistically, I like to also let Alan know that, Alan, in case you have some sort of feelings about playing Forza 4 on Game Pass and experience it like every one of us, I would gladly accept your Forza 4 code you're going to be getting right from Playground Games. That being said, I do want to move directly over. Thank you. Yes.
Little side note real quick.
You have to get in a plug.
The ultimate, buy my new rash cream. No, Forza Horizon 4, the expansion actually comes with, or the season pass actually comes with the expansions this time around. So
yes. First time ever that's happening. So,
big deal.
You will get everything.
Yeah, the Ultimate Edition.
So imagine if Cocaine Mountain and Hot Wheels came with Forza Horizon 3. That's basically what they're doing with 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
they want people to buy it, I'm sure. Like, and then if you Game Pass it, they want you to buy the expansions, which I'm sure is going to be like $30. So either way, Microsoft's going to win that. But I buy my game. So yeah, I already pre-ordered for the fantastic game. I wish a racing game could win Game of the Year, because if it could, that would be definitely one that that would stand a chance, because Forza Horizon 3 was fucking amazing and
phenomenal.
Just underappreciated, even for as great as it is. People just kind of cast it off as not being as ridiculous as it is. When you look at the shit racing games, that have released this generation, it's good to have at least Forza as a constant that's been quality the entire generation, whereas like everything else has been a disappointment. I've tried a lot of racing games and I've been disappointed time and time again with most of them. So
yeah, I am going to say this about Forza. We sit here and we talk about it, and everyone keeps mentioning the Hot Wheels expansion, right? Which was nothing short of the most amazing thing I probably ever played, because I'm an older dude, so I played with Hot Wheel cars on tracks like that. So to play it on a video game all these years later, it's just amazing. But I did a story on my channel in June. The files got downloaded, and of course people data mined it, and supposedly there were Halo files found in it, and apparently everyone keeps saying, well, how could they outdo the Hot Wheels track. Well, apparently, and I'm very excited to see what the panelists say about this. There's going to be Halo themed events using the Warthog, where the game is going to turn into an actual Halo game, and you're driving the Warthog. So I mean, I don't know if that's going to be an expansion or a timed event of some sorts, but I find that to be extremely interesting that you're getting other properties like Halo finding its way into
in Forza Horizon 3, they had a Warthog, and you were able to make your own kind of like activities. I made a couple kind of like Halo themed activities. They had the Halo music in there, so I had that playing when people picked that activity. So it's a cool kind of like natural evolution to what they were doing with 3. I mean, I'm down.
Yeah,
I like it.
There's some really, 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 really cool stuff in Forza Horizon 4 that Playground haven't talked about yet and won't talk about that are going to be surprises for fans. And
do tell, Alan. Do tell.
Chicken suits from Fable.
Buy my new rash screen.
It's a shame that some of the stuff has leaked
out. Yeah,
that Halo stuff is going to be phenomenal. Like the way that mission is going to play is going to be something really, really, really special for Halo fans. I put out a tweet recently, and again, quite a lot of traction, saying that there's a lot of stuff Playground, hasn't shown yet for Horizon 4, and that the run up to launch is going to be exciting. And some of the stuff that I was referring to in that tweet has come out, some of it hasn't. I think there's going to be some really, really cool things when that game does launch.
I gotta say, Alan, I've been very vocal about like trying to get into Forza. I do think Forza 4 has some elements that are really going to rope in someone like myself that hasn't been a fan in the past. Not because of any reason, just because I'm just not a car enthusiast. Enjoy cars. I have a respect for them. I like driving nice ones, but at the same time, realistically, you guys could school me on the engines and what's going on with the axles and the shocks. And
I'm gonna have to make the Mooch mobile. Like, what you gotta let me know what car you want, and I'll make a
Xbot. I will send you all of the dimensions and characteristics I'd like on that Mooch mobile. By the way, but I do want to turn the attention to Luca because this is something that Craft's been kind of giving Luca a little bit of shit about. But the whole thing is going on right now is the Switch. So I know Switch is usually a dead conversation, right? But it is a big deal right now. It is getting third-party support. I do wish that the third-party support was this year. We're talking more 2012. But Diablo 3 and Dark Souls is coming to the Switch this fall. And someone who's owned the Switch, me, the Mooch, since day one, yes, do we play it and use it as a family? Absolutely. We've played Mario, we've played Zelda, we've played Splatoon 2, we've played these games. But realistically, if you want to say the gamer in me to be able to take a game on the road, I'm looking forward to Dark Souls, which I think is coming out at the worst possible time. Like somebody who would like to take Dark Souls on the road and play the game again, because I'm playing it through on the Xbox One X. October 19th is dead smack in between all of the Call of Duty Battlefields, and then like 7 days later basically comes out Red Dead. So it's like couldn't be the worst. And now Diablo, I think Diablo is coming out probably in November. I see Luca's muted, but Luca, if you're here, answer it. If not, Luca is here. Luca, do you think this is something you're not gonna pick up Switch for this? Is this something you give a shit about at all?
I'm not picking up that trash system. One or two games, which it's not happening.
Not even Dark Souls?
Not even Dark Souls.
Dark Souls on the go, Luca?
Listen.
But it's selling so well, Luca. How's it trash?
Listen.
I'm not a console.
I'm not doing it. Wait, what did you say?
I've gone on record many times saying it's the most powerful handheld. It's not a console. Like that's my whole thing. Huh? I don't care what Nintendo says. They got marketing and everything like that. I mean,
created the system. Say the system is.
Here comes the brother sister fight.
If they can sell hardware and call it like a ham sandwich, that's what they're gonna call it.
Okay, Xbot. All right. Well, anyway, yeah, I'm not picking up the Switch for anything less than $150. It's not worth the money, in my opinion. I'm just not interested in the games that are on that system, other than Octopath Traveler. Now, as for the Dark Souls thing, unfortunately, there's no way I would even be able to play that on the go, because if I'm going out, like I'm going out to hang out with my friends or go do something else, and then the way I get to work is that I drive, unfortunately. Like,
So what
I
you're
drive,
saying, look,
so-
is you're like us on the East Coast, even though I consider you East Coast, even though you're Chicago. Basically, to be honest with you, like that's the way it is over here. Like when you see these commercials for Switch and everybody's like, come on, grab your Switch, head to the rooftop, let's bring some drinks. We don't do that over here. Like what was the, like what was the dealer? Honestly, come on. Like when was the last time you headed to the rooftop with anything? Like,
I mean, personally,
right?
I jog to the gym every day playing the Switch. So
How can you do that in motion?
I'm on the go, so no matter what, I can play that bitch. Hey, there's some breaking news here. Battlefield 5 shaping up to look even cooler than it already did. Will not have vehicle customization at launch.
Huh?
Oh wow,
That's not good, I guess.
I don't know if they're rushing the game. If it just obviously it's being rushed a little bit, or they would have it at launch, right? So that's kind of odd.
Yeah,
I actually heard that a lot of the I heard recently from someone I know that much of the Star Wars Battlefront 2 team has been moved on to Battlefield 5 in the hope that they can get that game ready in time for October. It's kind of they're in a bit of a rush/worry mode at the moment, and a lot of the post-launch support for Battlefront 2 has been kind of put on hold or even canned in favor of getting Battlefield 5 wrapped
The
up.
11 people still on Battlefront 2 are livid.
I heard it might go free to play or some shit. I know it's getting the EA Vault soon. I mean, it was just on sale.
Well,
It's on sale right now, I think, for $9.
$6.
That's Battlefield 1, isn't it?
Oh, 1. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Battlefront 2 is like $9.
$9. Yes, for Battlefield. My apologies.
Coming to the vault very soon, people.
Do a shout out to Stop 6 Doc. He says, "What's up, my people? I'm about to bite the bullet and get a PS4 Pro only because I'm a true gamer and it's only $100. Mooching. Stop 6. You do that. Thank you for that. I appreciate it." And AJ Felton. Shout out to AJ. AJ, AJ, I don't know if you want this revealed. I'll do it. I'll be very mild. AJ, who's a big PlayStation guy, can't get off his X. He is hooked on the X. And AJ, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, my friend. You stay at
Hashtag Team Xbox.
That's right. Welcome to the
Tell that
crew.
bitch to leave you alone. You're trying to move on.
It's so true. But getting back to it, well, wait, actually, you know what? I do want to get back to the Switch, but dealer, since you did do the breaking news, there is like these other reports that came out that the head of EA or one of the big guys that was
Patrick
working on
Sullivan.
he's moved
Patrick.
over now, right? He's left
Went to Zynga.
Leaving EA after receiving
left
a
EA, yeah.
huge pay increase last year, that the board of directors, they really wanted him to stay. They did not want to lose him or Andrew Wilson. Obviously, Andrew Wilson.
I don't know why they would want
still
him to
with the
stay. I
company.
mean, he's directly responsible for half of the stuff that's happened to him in the past year. So I'm not
I
really
think
sure why.
Suderland's an interesting guy. I was saying on last time I was on Boom's podcast, I've met both Suderland and Andrew Wilson. Suderland's more of a studios guy. Andrew's more of a business guy. I think why Suderland's moving on from EA is hard to know after receiving like a huge pay increase.
Yeah.
Is another company taking him on? I don't know.
Maybe he's
knows?
going to the initiative.
Do you know, someone actually suggested that to me, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think Microsoft would pay someone that much money to come to them. I don't think that would happen.
People that don't even know who this is. That's the guy in the Scorpio trailer. We mentioned this on RDX on Tuesday. The guy in the Scorpio trailer that said, when I saw the specs of this thing, I thought they're really going for it. They're not holding back. That's Patrick Sutherland.
That's Patrick
He
Sutherland.
is leaving EA. So
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes when you see this, though, and let me ask you, Alan, to be honest with you, that's usually a sign of, right? I mean, when you're making a big check and your company's doing really well, you're like, you just feel safe and warm in your office. You're like, this is great. Everything's great. Like, this is a big move for him to just duck and leave out. And my other issue is that with Battlefront 2, like, doing very, very poorly, and then all of a sudden, Battlefield 5, now we're hearing this breaking news and we're hearing other issues that are coming up with the game, and maybe it's not going to be ready for launch and all these other, like, this might be a detriment. And now, and you remember there was everyone always forgets. Luca was right. We said this earlier. Like, big news comes out, and then 6 days later, they're like, what news? Everybody always forgets right away. But we talked about the fact that, like, Anthem and BioWare are an absolute strain right now on EA's wallet. And with these other two games that they put money out and didn't get their returns on, this might be an issue.
It's their own fault.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not giving them any sympathy. I'm just saying it's
like release a dog shit, fucking have a no experienced team work on your most beloved franchise ever, Mass Effect, and just let them do that. And yeah, you should be having some troubles there for sure. Follow that up with fucking Star Wars shit. Yeah.
The thing is, you know, Sutherland for the majority of his tenure at EA was the president of well, I think the majority of tenure. He was president of Worldwide Studios. So he was the head of studios. So what studios were working on, what studios were developing, what studios were assigned to what tasks, that was him. Those were his decisions. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen now for EA in the future. I feel like they're in a bit of a weird spot. Like their EA Originals program for indie games, that's actually been doing really well, but it doesn't make them any money. EA Access is doing really well for them, and so is Origin Access. But in terms of the actual games themselves, it's been really hit and miss. Battlefield 5 is coming out at a really weird spot. There's seems to be a lot of issues with that game.
Titanfall 2 was underwhelming. You had Mass Effect being made by the DVD knockoff team. Really kind of tanked that one. You've got yeah, they're like, hey, you like Mass Effect? Well, we've got the B team working on the direct-to-DVD sequel that you guys want. Not really, but yeah. So yeah, they are in a weird spot because then they decided to copy Destiny with Anthem. We'll see how that works out.
That's going to be a big game, dude. I'm telling you right now. It may not be a thing, but it's going to be a big game.
We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, I think BioWare's in a rough spot. They've had a couple of not so well received games, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I was a big Dragon Age 1 and 2 fan. 3, not so much.
You didn't like Inquisition?
No, I never even finished it.
Inquisition was fantastic.
Just like close the rift. Close the rift. Like, what is BioWare's deal with changing your lead character? Yeah, that used to piss me off so bad, right? Listen, when I played KOTOR 1, you're Revan. Badass character. To this day, people love Revan. So what do they do in part 2? I know this wasn't BioWare that made part 2, but it's still like LucasArts. Yeah, you're not him anymore. You're in exile. Like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
I actually prefer that they change the characters.
I want to. Well,
and you know why? And it works out because I mean, there was a lot of issues with Mass Effect Andromeda, despite the fact that I did like it. However, people were really against having anyone other than Shepard. So
I think that was the game's last problem, though. You know, that was
yeah.
They could have come out with another great character. The problem was writing. Just supporting characters were not great. You had to, even after doing their loyalty missions, you still kind of cared a little bit, but it didn't hold a candle. And now, when you look at BioWare, they're forcing online with Anthem. It doesn't look like something that BioWare would do. And EA say they did not force Anthem's direction onto BioWare. They say they didn't make it always online. But it just looks like BioWare isn't quite BioWare. I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of.
I mean, they did bring back Casey Hudson. Hopefully, they can do something. But it's like
Bird Squad.
Yeah, you do hear a lot of different stories. Like their single player Star Wars game was canceled because lots of rumors, but there was no place to put loot boxes and stuff. You've got EA hedging their bets.
I think that game is still in development, though. I don't think they canceled it, but yeah, that was the story that they couldn't find a way to keep players returning, and it's like, look at God of War, EA. Like, why don't you learn? Like, if you make a quality product,
the thing that I heard about the Star Wars project the thing that I'm most willing to believe is actually that the project just wasn't shaping up well. The game just was not shaping up well at all. It was a very Scalebound-esque situation.
That was the Amy Hennig game.
Yes, the single player one.
Apparently she wrote part of Uncharted 3 and 4. Which 3 was the worst one. 4
I thought she wrote 2 and 3.
I thought it was part of 3 and 4.
Yeah, well, I know that she definitely banged heads with Druckmann.
4 was changed. Yeah,
Druckmann kicked her out the window.
Yeah, they pretty much restarted that whole project.
They restarted it, yeah. And I mean, that's why, everyone's like, oh, she's, this and that and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, okay, well, maybe she definitely has skills, but it doesn't seem to be skills that, like, maybe not in a leadership role. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that, because that Visceral company, I thought that we were all really looking forward to that Star Wars game.
You know what I did not like that I saw on Anthem is when they had the little stage presentation. I swear they had the same writer working on Anthem. The lady that worked on Mass Effect Andromeda, I'm pretty sure they had the same lady working on Anthem, which is a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah, Anthem is a big question mark.
Amy Hennig wrote for Uncharted 2.
Yeah, I thought so. She did 2 and 3.
She said parts of what she wrote went into 4 as well. That's why I was kind of more optimistic about it.
She wrote parts of 4, and then she left, and then they changed a couple things.
They changed, they changed a bit of her.
Did she not work on 3 at all?
She worked on 3.
No, she worked on 2 and 3.
Okay.
3,
yeah,
and some of 4.
She definitely has skills. Like, there's no doubt about it. And I mean, I've always said that my Uncharted, the way I rank them is I liked 2, 4, 1, 3. So she's definitely involved in one of my favorites. But I mean, realistically speaking, I think that is a problem. And I don't know. I liked it. I don't understand. I played the Nathan Drake collection and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed 1. I know the mechanics were rough. A
lot better back in 07, 08 when it came out. Like, it's still pretty decent to this day.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I dug it. It was the Nathan Drake, like, just ask that the attitude, the swagger. As you keep going through the story, Nathan Drake gets older and he loses a little bit of that swagger.
You stumble into that submarine in the jungle and it's something different. Like,
yes,
I played it when it first came out. I was like, okay, this is really cool.
Yeah, here's the thing. It was decent. It was good when it came out. It had bad controls where you had to do the they got rid of Rumble because that was so last gen, right? No, seriously, they said that. They said that. So they're like, we wanted you to do motion controls even after they denounced Nintendo for having motion controls with the Wii. Then they're like, we got this little lightweight controller that feels like about 2 ounces. And when you cross little ledges and stuff, you gotta balance it, right? So like, and I thought it was okay. 2 might have been my game of the generation last gen. 3, I didn't like it as much. It was okay. 4, I thought was okay. But the real problem was that they were kind of inconsistent. I think there was a different team that made 3 than that made 2, which could have been a mistake. I don't know. So the team that made 2 went on to make The Last of Us. I don't like how games kind of disrespect and I bitch about this a lot. Disrespect the fans because it's clear that Nathan Drake was an only child, and then in 4 they're like, here's his brother. And that pissed me off to no end, right? Like, to no end. As a fan, I felt like a little bit of a smack in the face. And I guess that's probably a me problem. But yeah,
well, let me give a shout out to Lady Foxfire who's in the chat. She says they still have Star Wars for Respawn, but I'm not holding my breath. Foxy, I am right there with you. For some reason, not only that, but Respawn's lost a lot of their talent went back to Call
Infinity Ward.
Yeah,
because they're working on Modern Warfare 4. Hopefully, that can save that.
Don't you mean Infinite Warfare 2? It's the sequel. Everyone is actually
no. They're gonna make Modern Warfare 4. Hopefully, what you would figure because
COD Ghost 2.
Yeah, that was a very popular series, so popular that they were gonna drop the Call of Duty part of that and just call it Modern Warfare. Right, because they wanted to differentiate it. So, and then they just stopped making it. So, hopefully,
I mean, I don't know. One of the most cringiest
hopefully they can get enough people to do a single player campaign.
One of the most cringiest scenes I saw this year that was filmed in anything that was in the gaming industry was when Vince Zampella was at the EA conference and
that was terrible.
Renee, when they had what's her face there? What's her name? Renee. Is that her name? What's the girl that's also on? She hosted the EA conference and she's on. Game Over Greggy with Greg Miller.
Oh,
Andrea Renee.
Yeah.
And he looked like a deer.
Sony Renee.
Yeah, Sony Renee.
Yeah.
And so she was there and she's like, what do you think? And Vince's like, yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And I was like, oh my God, somebody get Vince off those uppers. He didn't look good. It just didn't look like it was. The title sounds ridiculous. I think the whole thing is just.
I like how it sounds to me, but I mean that's just. Here's the thing.
It's 8 words in the title. Crap.
I get that, but I'm a Star Wars fan. Here's the thing. I'm a Star Wars fan. I thought we'd be getting Star Wars games. To date, we've had 2. And the first one was Battlefront 1, which was a solid game with no campaign or no nothing. How is it that we're getting a Star Wars movie every single year and we haven't even had a decent Star Wars game for the most part? I mean, Battlefront 2 I like, but damn, they could be so much better than what they've given us. Like, I don't understand it. Like, maybe shop that around. Why did they sign EA to an exclusive agreement? Like, let EA do the Battlefront series. let someone like Ubisoft or Square do a more story-driven game. You know, like there's a lot of other developers out there that could have done a story-driven game by now. 1313 was something a lot of people were looking forward to.
That looked fantastic.
Why not do a KOTOR 3? Like, where are the game? Like, I said this about the superhero. Okay, like we usually get like movie tie-in games last gen, and a lot of them suck. Some of them were okay. You know, I don't understand why. Like, I can tell you this much: when the prequels released for Star Wars, some of them were pretty damn good. Like, I liked Revenge of the Sith on PS2 and Xbox. Like, that was a pretty damn good game. They had some decent to good Star Wars games that coincided with the movies. The Clone Wars one, I didn't have a problem with that. Star Wars Battlefront 2, epic game. Battlefront 1, epic game. I don't understand why they're having such a problem getting these games out now. It's
well,
like,
you know that EA, they literally can't compete with other people. They gotta buy out the damn license, so no one else can compete with them. Madden, now Star Wars, like the only other game they have. The game where they're actually competing or trying to, and there's no license to make it some kind of exclusive thing, is Battlefield in the first-person genre. But other than that, like they have to lock everything else down just to compete.
Well, you know what's funny, Dealer? You make a hell of a point. The only thing they do compete with too, and they fail miserably when they have to compete, is the NBA series.
Yeah, the 2K versus
their live doesn't hold up candle.
That's why I used the word compete.
Right, you're right. And when you said that, it was like a light bulb went off. I mean, you're 100% right. Speaking of that, since we're talking about like games that should be and what's coming, let's get the panel's opinion on what's going on with Gamescom. I know that you did a video on what to expect, and please don't get your expectations out of whack. Yeah, right. So, much. I mean, does anybody expect anything? I would expect one small little teaser or something from Microsoft. I don't know what it'll be, nothing massive, but something enough to kind of nibble on. What do you think? Dealer, I'll start with you. Anything you think coming out of Gamescom?
Come back to me, Mooch. Sorry.
I'll come back to that. I got to come up with something. But Alan, how about you, Alan? What are you hearing from your sources? Your ears to the ground with the media.
So I'm not actually going to Gamescom this year, unfortunately. But well, I think it's pretty obvious that we're getting that Elite Controller 2.0.
Yes.
The one announcement we could pretty much lock down.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some stuff there for Forza Horizon 4 if you're looking forward to that. As for teasers of unannounced games or anything like that, I wouldn't be expecting anything like that. I think you're just going to see more of Microsoft's upcoming titles. So more of Horizon, more of Crackdown, probably some announcements for Game Pass as well.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you? You mentioned bundles in your video, a couple of things. Anything you think?
Larry Herb packed his white gloves. I saw a picture on his Instagram today.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess he's trolling people with that. So yeah, I just it's weird.
Duke Togo 13 says Voodoo Vince mobile teaser. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I mean, there's going to be some interesting things there. I do think that what we're going to see is some bundles, maybe a custom console. Maybe there could be something with the Obsidian developer. So maybe a couple of the smaller ones. They want to make a bit of a kind of a shocking announcement there or whatever. But the Elite 2 or whatever it is, your boy Terrible Tom was tweeting out that today. That what the hell was that leak that passed? What the hell was the leak for that controller? That he isn't the controller. That isn't the code name for the controller. It's something else.
It's not Washburn.
Yeah, it's not Washburn.
That's a terrible code name.
Yeah, I heard that. A few people, like I heard the code name was Spider.
Spider, yes, Spider.
And Windows Central also reported that as well, as have I think a few other outlets also. A lot of people said Spider. So when I saw Tom's tweet initially, I was like, wait, what? They didn't just go change the code name, did they? Like I was really confused for a moment. So
wait, Tom was Tom reiterating the fact of the controller coming out, or he was correcting the code?
He was reiterating that the controller's coming out, but that Washburn was something else.
Washburn is something else, yeah.
So there is something. Will Washburn then be represented at Gamescom or no? If it's something else.
What could Washburn be? Is it a game?
That's what I'm trying to say. Is Washburn something that may come up at Gamescom?
Yeah, Washburn. I haven't heard. I hadn't heard of Washburn until
Crispy Bomb goes out. Laughed my ass off. It's funny that we actually say Washburn. It's just like if I worked in any of these studios, I would say let's come up with a code name that we want the media and YouTubers to say ridiculously over and over again. That's fucking ridiculous, and they won. They've won this battle. Boom. What about you? You've done a couple of podcasts, maybe 150. What? Wait, I love picking up Boom with that. Boom. What do you think? What are you expecting? What do you want to hear from Gamescom?
Well, obviously, the rumors are that we're going to get be able to purchase the new Elite controller in November. That's what I've heard so far. So I would like to finally be able to pre-order this when it if they announce it. Hopefully they will. This is the last big gaming show that they can do that. But the two games I want release dates for already, and I'm just sick of waiting, are Ashen and Below. And I think that we might get those.
I heard Ashen was this fall.
Yes, and that might be one of the big Game Pass announcements because that's day and date as well. So that we may get a release date on that. And you know what? Both of these games should be out already. I know that Ashen is really well along, and Below is probably right there with it. It'd be nice for them to preview them, show us a trailer, and say, okay, it's this date, boom, and get it out there.
For those of you that don't know and haven't been keeping up, and I don't blame anybody that hasn't. Below was advertised right around the time that Super Time Force it's by Cappy Games.
Yes.
And Super Time Force came out. Crap, what was that? 2014?
Yes.
And they're like, don't worry if you don't like this one. Wait till you play Below. It's been a minute. So yeah, right? And I am excited for Below.
I am so glad. I am so glad I didn't have like a terminal illness and the only cure for it was Below, because I'd be dead right now, man.
Yeah, you wouldn't have made it. I'll be honest with you. That has taken a long time. But listen, if there's a bunch of different novels, books, things to read that are factual about, like, and the shout out to the Don who's in the chat that can tell you the Don. Who could tell you a lot of stories about the issues and trials and tribulations that developers and developing teams go through. So Cappy, I think, is a talented team. I really, really do, but I don't know what it is. We'll find out later when they write a documentary and make some money on that. Right? But we'll find out what the hell took Below so long. What? Anybody else had any Gamescom? Luca, do you give a shit about Gamescom? I mean, myself personally,
she's interested in what the Switch is going to offer at Gamescom.
Gamescom.
Gamescom is next week,
first
Tuesday.
Oh, well, clearly that shows how much I care about it, which is not. So I don't.
It's E3's
right, Lucas,
like.
Tell us what TV show you're watching right now.
Winona Earp. If they had a game for that, she'd be tuned in.
Sure, Winona Earp comes. Like the next episode's on in 10 minutes. I DM Mooch saying, "Hurry!"
Oh my god!
Yeah, he's like, "Mooch, hurry the hell up."
No, I don't care about Gamescom. I never have. I didn't care about it last year. I don't care about
last year. Could have been one of the most comical Gamescoms
it was
I've ever seen.
Embarrassing
To see
donuts
Greenberg,
are not included, Mooch.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. Aaron Greenberg on that couch last year with Shannon Loftus.
Oh man,
that was a mess.
Thank God they don't have her like as public anymore. Like,
and then
thank God.
Well, not just that, but they were also being interviewed. They were being interviewed by Fredo. It was just an absolute disaster. I mean, realistically, I just wish, and I don't want to go full circle because I mean, Inside Xbox is doing their thing. They're going to do a Gamescom show, which. I mean, they're going to have material because what we said, they're going to have bundles put together. They're going to talk about the V2 Elite controller. They're going to have a couple of announcements. I think Boom's spot on. I think we're going to hear more about Ashen. We're going to hear more about Below. And I think the hardcore folks, Boom, really care about that.
Yeah,
realistically, I don't think anybody else does. So, I think that we're going to get a lot of Jeff Rubenstein, a lot of Fredo. And
to leave the
Major Nelson's going to be
have to.
Yeah, Major Nelson too. But go ahead, What were you saying, dealer?
I said to leave the Gamescom set, the staff have to escape through a death room.
Yes.
A caged-in area with fake zombies.
I literally sat there it was like those facepalm gifs that you see all over Twitter when that was going. And then when they were done with it and they're like, we're now going to run through a different staff through this. And I'm like, you're doing it again? Like,
yeah, this helps, right? This helps, right? No. All right, let's do some more.
Do you guys think, because for the last couple of years or whatever, we've seen kind of like a decline when it comes to Gamescom? I remember like a few years ago, Gamescom was the next E3. You know what I'm saying?
It's not anymore.
They had new announcements. Do you guys think anything will ever rebound?
You know what? You know what Gamescom is? Let me tell you what Gamescom is. On New Year's Eve, after the Ryan Seacrest ball drops and the party's over, and then they're like, we're going to turn it over to Fergie over in California. And everybody's already in bed. That's exactly what Gamescom is. We're already all asleep.
I miss kind of like, I mean, they're doing the announcement with the Elite controller.
Right.
We all know that. I'm interested in like the Game Pass announcements for people who've been living under a rock. I like Game Pass. But other than that, man, I miss when they really went all out.
Well, I think you're right, Xbot. I think it's a damn shame, to be honest with you, because I think that you got 350,000
Sony
people
doesn't
in
even
foot
really
traffic.
show up, right? Am
No,
I right?
Sony really doesn't show up. Xbox doesn't. The fact that they're doing an inside Xbox at Gamescom tells you
that tells you how far we've actually gone.
They had a couch that barely fit Shannon and Aaron.
Controllers, man.
Right? It was a love seat, for God's sake. I mean, Conan O'Brien has a bigger set. Go ahead.
Can I just say that in terms of a convention, Gamescom
it's massive,
much bigger than E3, and it's,
absolutely,
in my opinion, more enjoyable. E3 is better because of the conferences, but in terms of just the convention alone, Gamescom is actually better, and there's a huge buzz there.
Go to it. Alan, doesn't it take away? Doesn't it take away a little bit that those big announcements that we used to get a few years ago, they're not there, so people aren't really talking about them.
What's frustrating is, like, the first year I went to Gamescom was the first year Microsoft didn't do a Gamescom conference, and I was absolutely gutted. I was so gutted, and I went last year. Obviously did the live show, but there was no audience for that. And then this year I'm not going to it. Mainly because of like costs and stuff.
I think it's a huge missed opportunity, Alan, because there's a lot of people in Europe. Okay, there's a lot of foot traffic. They get way more foot traffic than E3. It's a major chance for somebody that's got something, especially Microsoft, where they had little to really say at current technology. They gave us a lot of stuff that's coming, right, with the new 5 studios and blah blah blah. And they mentioned Scarlet.
Some guy in the chat is saying pretty much exactly what you said. To gain that European audience again, grab it. Why aren't they doing more?
You know what? Speak for yourselves, but there is no bigger announcement than Zoo Tycoon in 4K.
Oh yes, let's do it.
Well said, dealer.
Forgotten all the Megatons last year, but
hey, Zoo Tycoon ain't a bad game.
Disney Adventures.
I would just say to keep your expectations low, and you'll never be disappointed.
I think the Elite controller, by itself being unveiled there potentially is bigger than everything last year of Gamescom.
Well, that's if
we did get the EX pre-order and everything.
Yeah, that was there too.
Which was the only reason I watched.
Yeah, that was the only reason. Then I'm happy that it looks like Shannon Loftus is less of a player now.
We're back.
That is an important thing. I will say this much. Let's start before we do outros. I do want to talk about one major thing. I want to get the panel's take on this. This is a big deal. So Bethesda came out this week and kind of flexed their muscles. The first company to flex their muscles and be like, we are kind of above the platforms. Now, and me and Luca had a great conversation on this about a month ago when I said that Fallout was just like this and that and blah, blah. And she's like, excuse me, sir. She's like, did you just say Fallout is like not like doing anything wrong? Because there's a lot wrong with it. So Luca actually did make a great point. I went and did a little bit of work into it and found out that she's right. But Bethesda still has a major stronghold on the industry. They came out, they didn't point anybody out, but we knew who they were talking about. They were saying, and I believe this was about the Elder Scrolls, if I'm not wrong, but I believe it also relates to Fallout. Possibly it could bleed into that, the 76 game. Guys, do you think that they would ever have the audacity to keep it off of the Sony platform if Sony doesn't enable crossplay?
Dude, I predicted this. I predicted that, as soon as the major publishers started getting in on this and really pushing, because this is where they want their games to go. Yeah. Sony, you know it through Sony as a corporation has a hard time evolving. All right, you saw it in the music industry, you've seen it in the movies and everything like that. Like they were king of the hill 1 second, and then all of a sudden they just fell off a cliff because they wouldn't go where the industry was going. And they got to be careful, man. They really got to be careful, because I see a lot more. You got EA, you got Bethesda. You see the bigger publishers saying this is where we want to go, and if you're not on board, you need to buy your ticket now, or else you're going to be left at the train station. And I think that is a possibility, man.
I made a similar comment, Xbot, that said that basically if you're one of those people, and that's fine if you are, I can't sit here and tell you that I can say that my preferred brand is one and you can't. You certainly can. But if you're one of those folks that only buy Sony products and you only care for their system, and you see that your company's not participating in crossplay, they're not participating in what you see the money that Microsoft's put into Azure, and see that they're not putting the money into that mobile streaming and this whole like your games follow you everywhere. That's fine that Sony is being very successful in their traditional ways. I think they're being very successful right now, but the world is changing right in front of your own eyes right now. And don't think about now. That's why there's people right now being like, hey, shout out to Mad Jack, who's a great fan of the show. He's always here. I'm a fan of his too. But he's like, my God, the 500 million consoles, the dedicated PS4 sold out in 60 seconds. Listen, you're still missing the boat. If we're still sitting here counting consoles, you're not understanding where
you're not in this
gaming,
generation moving
this
forward,
gaming industry is not going that way. That's fine. But dealer, you've said it yourself in many of your videos, okay? You have a PC, you have a tablet, you have a console. Your games are now moving all over all platforms, okay? Mobile, PC, and console. If not another one.
Consoles.
Right, consoles, right. So I think Sony sticking to their tradition was a victory this generation, but this generation ends in 2020, and I don't know if Sony's ready to move on. We haven't seen any inclination that Sony's ready to move on.
Yes. People are always like pointing out like the hardware sales, and it's like, well, PlayStation is number one. You got to know in business, when you're number one, that fall can be really quick.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Before ask Xbox about their North American loss. Yeah,
it can be like blink of an eye, and all of a sudden you're moving into your new hardware set, and people just they're not feeling you anymore because now you're not going where the industry is going, and where I see a lot of gamers saying, yeah, this is what we want. Well,
we went to a huge, like I said, my son's in a travel baseball team, so we go on this baseball, and like they have these huge parties, and whenever there's the parties after the tournaments, everyone's got their iPad, they're all playing Fortnite. Does that mean that I know a lot of them all have Xboxes and PlayStations, but they're all playing on their mobile device? When Phil said this years ago, your games are your games, and you can play them anywhere, he wasn't kidding. And when he said it back then, myself included, okay, we didn't know what he meant, because 4 years ago we were like, what? Like that wasn't the thing. And now it is good. It is where you could you buy a game, you should be able to take it anywhere you want to play.
Well, here's the deal, Mooch. Isn't it good to finally have somebody in a lead chair at Microsoft who sees the future?
Well, I hear Luca and Dealer are kind of giggling, but the thing about it is that, like, I'm with you guys. 4 years ago, I kind of giggled too.
No,
but now it's like it is what it is.
I heard Luca go, eh.
Well, okay.
The thing of it is that this is a card game that Bethesda is using as a experiment to see what PlayStation's reaction is going to be. I really doubt that Sony's going to care, because, like I said, it's a fucking card game.
It's true, but you do have the king of Sony, though, Luca, in Greg Miller playing Fortnite on Xbox because he can move his character.
Yeah, and that's true.
I mean, it does have there is, according to YouTube.
And if Fortnite, if Sony didn't enable crossplay with the biggest game right now with Fortnite, they're not going to do it for
at the end of the day, though.
That's right. I agree.
We should harp on the fact that you should want to be able to play your games where you want. You should want cross-play because it's another option.
Yes,
it's something they should.
It's a generation of options, folks.
Something they should do, and I think Microsoft have set themselves up wonderfully for the next 5, 6, 7 years with some of their policies and the way they're heading. It's inevitable that that's just the way things are going to end up for everyone. Microsoft have just gotten a little leg up here.
And that's what I'm saying moving forward. I think that
remember, Mooch, Sony did actually already try this. They just didn't do it the right way. They tried it with PlayStation TV. Stream your games using PlayStation TV. They tried it with apps on Samsung TVs. Right now they got PS Plus or PS Now on PC and consolidated those platforms. But they definitely tried it. It just hasn't worked out very well for them. They didn't do it the right way. Whereas play anywhere and cross play and the things.
Well, Dealer, you know this better than anybody else. You've done the number crunch, I believe, on various videos, like what the Azure process and technology costs. I don't know if that's necessarily in Sony's wheelhouse.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of. I mean,
I don't either. But when you hear
right,
when you hear Microsoft's Azure dealer, you only hear Google and Amazon and Apple.
Oh yeah,
in the conversation.
They're not in the same league there when it comes to their online infrastructure and Azure and all that. Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to understand. Everyone that's listening to this podcast, everybody on the panel, you guys have to understand something. And you know, the finest, he goes, it's a card game. I'm not talking about the card game. Who gives a shit? Like that. Luke is 100% right. Nobody's. That's not going to change policy because of a card game. But my whole thing is that, like, right now, there's kids that are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old that are coming into gaming. Okay. And those folks are getting introduced to tablets and phones. And when they're playing a game on their parents' tablet or phone, and then they turn 10 and they're like, wait, I can take my game over to Xbox, but I can't take it to Sony. Those consumers, and believe me, you don't think they have an ear in their parents? They don't have a word in their parents' ear? They do. Like, they're big time. We had Jay Yoon, who's a Patreon of MNC Evenings. He literally said, my son has spent $600 on Fortnite. And if you don't shrug your shoulders or laugh, that's actually small potatoes. There's people who spent well over 1,000. There's commas involved, folks. So realistically speaking, to say that this is no big deal and Sony's just holding on their traditional roots, all I'm saying is this. We saw Xbox be arrogant and pompous moving into this generation. And we are clearly seeing Sony be arrogant and pompous moving into the next generation.
Hey, Mooch, I just want to say one more thing, because there's people out there, in Twitter, in the chat and stuff like that. They're saying, well, if Bethesda was serious, why don't you do it with Fallout 76? And
right.
My thing is, this is just the beginning. I think what's going on, they made a stance, right? They're not going to do it with this game that's coming out right now, but they're giving the time for these companies to be like, well, you know what, man?
It's just shooting a warning shot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're not going to just automatically, hit the target City Hall like right now without that warning.
It happens against countries. It happens in games. It happens in business. This is a warning shot. Luke is 100% right. You think a card game is actually going to influence this? Absolutely not. But there is somebody sitting at the Sony table saying, listen, this doesn't hurt us. Nobody gives a shit about the card game. But realistically, if they do this on their next big title, we're going to face like repercussions. Even if it's just bad press, we're going to get repercussions for this. So it's this move has made a debate at the Sony table. Maybe you'll still get thumbs down. It is chess. It's exactly what it is. So realistically speaking, as we kind of approach the 2-hour mark, is that, we started after 7 craps, so take it easy.
I get it, but damn, we got to do outros too. Jeez.
Well, these are quick outros. But I thought that was a big deal. It was something that we should talk about, and it also quick. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right, dealer. With that being said, I want to say, everybody, thank you. Great debate, great panel. What an all-star cast tonight, guys. I got to say, I do CrossFire every week that I possibly can, unless something comes up. Tonight was extremely enjoyable for me. I hope it was for you guys in the chat. Let me go in reverse order. Let me start with the beautiful, my female Mooch, my New York. Luca, please come back. Don't wait too long to come back ever again. Tell people where they can find you, please.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm always here for my Italian Eminem,
Oh, blushing.
Yes.
Blushing. Hey, I don't hear that. All right, get out of here. Get out of here.
Oh, man.
Let her finish.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Find me on Twitter at the Ashland, and yeah, good shit. Good shit, fellas.
Awesome to have you, Luca. Thank you. And then dealer, listen, you do a great job on your channel. We always appreciate having you on Crossfire. And listen, you're going to be on much more often. And I'm just going to go ahead and just show up on RDX for the hell of it. What the hell? I got to mooch my way on there somehow. So I'll let people know where they can find you, brother.
As you and we've done so much stuff together on
we have
crafts. Everyone knows you can find me at Dealer Gaming on YouTube and Dealer_Gaming on Twitter. And it was a great show. It's good being back with you guys and kind of offering, as everyone does on the panel, their own perspective, and good show.
We have great chemistry. I will say that, dealer. The Xbox Nation days are classic, and they are recorded, so everybody can check those out. Shout out also to Lady Foxfire in the chat. Lucas, she's not a big fan of my compliments to you, but that will be something else on another show.
Okay.
Right? So there seems to be a couple of eyes over there from Lady Foxfire. Let me go to Senora Bombastic Boom. I know that you are probably going to go to Netflix, but I'm trying to play games with you after 9 p.m. Boom. Let people know where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, well, hit me up on Twitter at Mr. BoomstickXL. Please give my channel a look at Double Barrel Gaming on YouTube. I just launched the Xbox Factor podcast, which is going to be Thursdays at 11 a.m. And obviously, Breakfast with Boom happens every Friday. You're going to be on the 31st. I'm excited about that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, check out my channel. It's a lot. I put up at least 5-6 videos a week.
Awesome, buddy. And then I got my buddy Alan Walsh, Alan from Ireland, who stays up late for your enjoyment, folks. Alan, it is awesome to have you here. Your entertainment and honestly, your information is priceless. Alan, let people know where they can find you, please.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on the show. It's always good to get together on a Friday night and talk about, what's been happening in this crazy, ever-changing industry. But yeah, you can find me on the social media platforms at Beetle Comet. The website is fullthrottlemedia.co.uk. Actually, this week wasn't actually much news in the Forza scene, so I dropped 2 feature stories instead. One that's a retrospective on Forza 7 and how the game has changed and evolved and how Turn 10's perspective on making games has changed. The second feature story is about how Forza Horizon 4 isn't just like an open world racing game, but also like a car MMORPG for automotive obsessed people. So if you're interested in those, check them out. Really appreciate it.
Awesome, Alan. Always great to have you here. And then my buddy Xbot448, usually confused for 844, has a big show tomorrow, buddy. Let them know where they can find you.
Yes, sir. Everybody can follow me on Twitter at Xbot448. I keep everything simple. Down the line, it's all Xbot448. Go to my channel every Saturday, 7 p.m. is the next podcast. Gaming news with gameplay that you can vote on. And I'm done.
Done. Always good to have you, Xbot. Love your opinions. And then last but certainly not least, my co-host at MNC Evenings. He's here tonight. Johnny Podcast usually shows up when pulls that chest thing out. Crap Gamer, where the hell can people find you this weekend?
Just Crap Game. Oh, Crap Gamer reviews, but also we're doing the Shop Podcast tomorrow.
Yes. So. Shout out to the Shop Podcast, my buddy PTK Blam. Me and PTK go way back. Even when I was first starting BGST, me and PTK used to play a ton of Titanfall.
Well, what's funny is like he didn't tell me that you were gonna. Did he ask you to be on the show?
He told me you were gonna be on the show.
So he asked me, and then I asked him. I'm not gonna go into the questions I asked, but I was like, right. I need to know 3 things before I come on the show. And then apparently you asked the same damn thing.
I did. It was great. And we're like, hey, you're going to be at Shop? I'm like, I'm going to be at Shop.
That's the best way to get M and C on your show, man.
Yes.
Xbot did the same thing for episode 100.1 or whatever.
Yeah. It's 100.1. It sounds like a radio station. It's great.
Yeah, 100.1.
Guys, I want to thank the chat. I want to thank everybody here. Every single one of you guys has been awesome. Thank you for the super chat contributions. I appreciate that. Guys, we'll be back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern. Crossfire alive and well. We'll catch you guys next week. Enjoy your games. Peace out.
Later, everyone. Good.